And so I've been waking up every single day, but it's always the same day. This day hasn't changed for me in like 20 different attempts now. Like every single day I wake up, the alarm goes off, it's the same song playing, and then we do this same show. And then the next morning I wake up and it's Thursday again for me all the way through. And so we do the stream on early hours of Friday morning right now. Every time I go to bed, I wake up, it's the same thing. 20 times now it's happened. 20 days on the trot, it's been Thursday. Don't know what's going on, but I really don't know what to do anymore.
Ooh, very nice.
Oh, nice. Are you sure the new sounds don't play through this? Because I just heard that one for the sub.
Oh, I didn't turn it on for this one, but hey, maybe they did.
Oh, maybe. All right, maybe they'll just be there for this day.
I didn't realize it turned it on across the different subsections that we've got, but maybe it does.
I don't know. I can hear them now, so I'm assuming other people can as well.
I need to turn on the sound.
That's generally how this thing works.
Yeah, the bits one's really good. See, I can't hear it because I have the stream on mute. But
true.
Yeah. What did you think to the sound effects?
I was taken by surprise a little bit. It's quite interesting though. It's gonna be like really like I feel like we're gonna get to a point where we're in like a really heated debate or something, and like the tasty is just gonna break it up, and it's just gonna be hilarious because we'll be like super serious mode, but out of nowhere. All right, well I guess the new noises are effectively enabled.
What, do you not think they're good though? I think they're amazing.
No, I'm okay with it.
Tasty.
It's something. I don't know. You can't hear them? You should be able to hear them.
No, there we go.
If I can hear them, you should be able to hear them.
Ooh.
And then Geo gifts subs. You're just gonna hear it constantly now.
Oh my god, this is why.
So on the build stream last week, Mekanisk, Leandrin from Mekanisk did it, and he kept doing the tasty thing, but he kept doing tasty bits. So every 5 seconds he was doing tasty 5 bits, just so you could hear the tasty all the time.
It's a really good tasty though. Like it's well said.
Very nice.
It's eloquent, right?
It's eloquent, yeah. And the recording quality is good. This is a friend of yours, you said, or is this you?
Yeah. No. This is a friend of mine.
Okay.
Ooh, very nice.
I genuinely didn't expect them to carry over to the main show, because the way it works in Streamlabs, guys, is we have like different sections, and those different sections allow us to control how the cameras are. So if you clip a camera on one screen, and then we move over to do a transition during the main show, it keeps that clipping aspect ratio. But if we have different sections, it means we can have different aspect ratios for different cameras and clip things in different ways. So when I put the sound effects in for the build stream segments, I didn't expect it to carry over to the main show, but apparently it did.
Apparently it did. So I shoutouts to all of you lovely people that are either subbing or donating bits right now. Kajata did subscribe at tier 1 before we went live, I think, actually. So shout out to you on that one. Thank you so much. Mountain Blocks subbing at tier 1 for 18 months. Glad to see you around, my friend. Jace the Poop Scooper, always one of the great usernames around, subbing at tier 1. Mountain Blocks with a 1,111 bits. Isn't that usually what Talisman donates?
Yeah.
Are they swapping around?
People like the sound effects, yeah.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, they're good sound effects. Like, they're actually high quality.
You know me, Brian. I don't do things by house. If I'm going to get someone to record sound effects, I'm going to get them to do it properly.
That's true. You go, like, full ass on everything, man. You don't half-ass anything. Thank you so much, Gio, for the 5 gifted tier 1 subs there, as well as Teal Technic.
Gio got the theme of the talk earlier on today. My days keep resetting. He got the theme. We're already at level 5 on the hype train.
Wait, you never told me what movie that was.
Oh, it was Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. Bill Murray wakes up the same day, lives it through every day.
I've never actually seen that movie.
Puxtaparny Phil or something like that is the name of the little groundhog that just he does something about the weather or something, predicts the weather or something. I don't know. It's a long time since I've seen the film.
Tasty.
But yeah, Bill Murray, great film.
I am a Bill Murray fan. Somehow I've never actually seen that movie.
Wow, bits.
I am the exact opposite of a movie buff. Like I watch very, very few movies.
Teal Technic subscribed as well. Captain Schwa with the 5 gift subs. Bled in with his 13 months of subs. Rob Shred giving 5 tier 1 gift subs as well. Bledding with 15 bits. Winner giving 10 tier 1 subs. Holy crap.
What the heck, guys?
Joseph gave 20 tier 1 subs. Holy crap. Here we go, guys. We are knocking out of the park this week.
You guys are insane today. What the heck?
I just want to hear these sound effects. That's what it is. We need to put GIFs in as well now because I only put the logo in for now. But yeah, we need to put some GIFs in there. Get some cool GIFs.
What kind of?
I'm tempted to do the little GIF of where we were talking about a set about a year ago, and I just zoomed the camera in on my face when I was doing it. I'm tempted to put that in for the GIF for one of them.
That's a good one too. I like that clip a lot.
Thanks, guys.
You guys are not. We already passed the level 5 hype train.
278% of level 5 hype train. That 20 subs from Jeshuff, really tipping it over there. Wow!
Oh my gosh,
guys! Thank you for the support. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. That is so kind of you. Should we do a quick mail call?
Tasty.
While we still kind of have a pre-show. I have nothing, so my mail call is really quick. But
okay, so I've got 2 things. Both are really, really cool, and this is a selection of things that arrived. So the first thing that arrived, and I'll try and find a good cap to show you guys. But I actually got a set of OG cherry dye subs in that are actually a different language to what I'm used to. So I've always been trying to search for the UK English dye subs and some of the other more obscure European ones, and I actually managed to get a set of Belgian dye subs in as well. This is one of the cooler keycaps that you get in this, but these are OG cherry dye subs, new in box. Really, really cool to have these Belgian dye subs.
Belgian dye subs. That's
ISO, man. Belgian ISO. Yeah.
You love to see it.
Very nice.
And Mekanisk, thank you very much for the 10 tier 1 gift subs as well. Salvan CNC saying, wow, you still up, Jay? I'm always awake, man. Like 4 hours sleep is my motto, dude.
Very nice.
Always awake. And then the second thing I got in this week that I wanted to show you guys is this is an Apple M3501, which you guys have all seen before. This is an ISO version, but it's got some pretty cool legends on this. Look at this. This is an original cherry board. An original Apple board. This is the only one of these I've ever seen, but it has Arabic sub-legends printed on from the factory.
That is epic. It looks like it's in such good condition, too.
This is phenomenal condition. It's dusty, I'll give it that, but it is absolutely phenomenal condition in terms of the cap. So that is what's going to adorn one of my Borsdorfs. So I have UK ISO on one, and I'll have Arabic, Egyptian ISO on another. So there we go.
Rabbit is saying you're going to be learning Arabic soon.
I've always had a big thing for Arabic sublegends. So Brian and I have talked about this at length, and Arabic sublegends are something I absolutely adore. I think they look great. I think they have a ton of meaning. So many languages across Europe and everywhere have been influenced heavily by Arabic over the years. Go back thousands of years. So yeah, I have a huge respect for language and definitely want to be able to rap on a keyboard.
Absolutely.
George, yes it is. That's the only one I've seen. Yeah, it is the $365 one that's sold on eBay, yes.
Ouch. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet though, if it's something rare,
Don't ask me how much shipping was. Because that wasn't cheap either.
How much was shipping?
$65.
Oh, that hurts. That honestly hurts.
Yeah, it cost me more than some customs did that board just for the keycaps. So, yeah, it's just a number. It's fine, Jay. And all numbers are made up, as we know. So
that's true. That's true. Everything it's all made up. Everything's made up. Keyboards are even made up, right?
Yeah, everything is made up. Yeah, they are dampened white heat loss in that particular board. Yeah, they're not particularly good Alps because it is dusty and that's ruined the Alps a little bit. They need a good clean. But I don't want to destroy the board. I kind of want to keep the caps and use them on the board stuff, but keep the board and keep it pristine because it is in really, really good condition. And then hopefully, it'll I'll be able to put it back together if I need it. Wow, level 5 hype train, guys. So thank you very much for all the subs and everything else. That's the first time we've hit level 5 in ages. So thank you very much for that. That was really, really cool, guys. Really good to see. So thank you very much for all the bits, all the subs, everything else. If you guys do want to hear the little snippets of
they're still going.
That we've got in there,
they're still going. This is crazy. Yeah, like, I'm still hearing them. Like it's like catching up. It's very interesting.
It's still catching up. Wow. Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much for all the subs and the bits, guys. We very, very much appreciate it. With that said, we should actually begin our show, as we're a couple minutes late here. So let's get that rolling, guys.
Very nice.
That's right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. I am your host, Quakums, as usual, joined by my lovely co-host, Jay. And we're going to talk about some keyboard topics today, believe it or not. And we have a pretty healthy news doc, I would say, today. Not too short, not too long, but we got some interesting things on there, of course. Yep. And as usual, we'll end with a Q&A like we always do. So if you have questions, make sure you save those till the end. Jay, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm enjoying the sound effects on stream. I'm enjoying my coffee. I'm enjoying, streaming to everyone who's watching today. So yeah, I'm feeling good, man. Ready for the show.
Yeah, I think we read the intro at the right time because they just stopped playing now.
I think if you change scene and come back, it'll stop playing them anyway. So I think that's the thing. So if you change scene and come back, it will stop playing them. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So if we did cut anyone short on those sound effects, I do apologise. Bledin says, all it took was a little Rudy. Yeah, thank you, Rudy. If you do see this, thank you very much for donating those sound effects. I really appreciate them. We do have more where those came from. That's not the limit of all the recordings I have from Rudy. So maybe you'll hear some different ones next time.
I want to hear some more. So you gotta let me in on this little secret, Jay.
We can do that.
All right. Cool. So just a quick announcement, guys, before we roll into the keyboard news. I am still doing Behind the Keyboard. I did miss my episode last week because I just was having a really rough day, I guess is a good way to put it, and I was not in the best health or mind state to be running the show that week. So I canceled that episode, but I do have another episode tomorrow, and I'm going to be rescheduling the guests from the previous episode, so you don't miss out on anything. Just keep that in mind. But yes, tomorrow I will have an episode. So that is the plan, guys. So I apologize for missing last week.
And when you say you rearrange guests, it's the guest that you were going to have on last week on this week, right? It's not.
No, this is actually so I scheduled a couple weeks out, but I have to swap the previous. I'm working on it. But yes, I am good now. Rob is asking in chat. Sorry about that, guys, but I am doing better now. So look forward to that if you're a fan of the series. But tomorrow should be very interesting. I don't know how to give a teaser as to who it would be, but I think a lot of people are going to be wholesomely happy and surprised.
Wholesomely happy. Interesting.
I don't know how else to say it without giving away way too much.
Yeah, Bledden's got it. It's me. Yeah.
Oh, it's obviously not Jay. It can't be Jay. It can't be Jay. It's just never going to work. Yeah, Jay's just not that interesting. I'm sorry.
Oh, really? Thanks, man.
I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding, and you know that. Wholesome Mike. It's actually not Mike. It's not Mike. I should ask Mike, though. It's been a while since Mike's made a Top Clack appearance, so that's in the works as well. Brian interviews himself? No, that'd be terrible. You guys wouldn't want to see that. It would be really bad. It'll be a good one, though. I think you guys will like this one. This one's been a long time coming, you could say.
Someone just DM'd me and asked if it's Petrov. We wouldn't trust Petrov on stream. We'd have to hover over the end stream button all the time, all the way through.
I don't even think Petrov trusts Petrov. But just kidding. We love you, Petrov. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and hop right into the news, shall we?
Sure. Let's go ahead.
All right, so first and foremost here, we have an interest check for Think 6.5 version 2.0. So, of course, again, this is by Old Cat, and this is the follow-up to the, I guess it was pretty popular, the V1. It sold a lot of units, if I recall.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so he has decided to work on a second version here, and this one's quite a bit different than the first one, if you ask me. So we don't really have a ton of info here. The thread is actually quite long, but there's not a whole lot of actual board info in here. But we do know a few things. So it is going to use a new type of gasket mount, whatever that means. So we haven't actually seen the inside of it yet. There's going to be potentially two badge placements, so I don't know if he's going to be deciding between the two, if he's going to run both. I'm assuming he's just going to be deciding between the two. But he has the
Well,
more...
that's interesting because on the original round he actually had 3 or 4 different versions of the top, so you can have either a badge there or not. So maybe both will be an option.
Yeah, so I guess anything could happen there. But how do you feel about this version, particularly in reference to the previous version 1?
So I'll be honest, and I think I said this at the time. I didn't like the top badge on the original one, and I still don't like it here. The badge that kind of gives you that 66 key look with the badge in the middle, I'm not a fan of that particular one. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It kind of feels like if you're going to do it, you need to put the 66 key type split stepped away from the main board and do it very much like the clue board does and all of those other kind of boards. That's just my personal preference. What I do like about this particular one, though, is I do like the base of this board a little bit more than the round 1 version. I like the fact that the feet have angle placements and they're kind of pointing towards the center, and I kind of like the weight design with the anchor and things. That kind of feels nice to me. I'm still not a fan of the design for the top logo. The kind of whole lightning, the light bulb kind of thing just doesn't seem to gel well, and I'm not really sure that fits with the nautical theme on the base in terms of the anchor as well. So that being said, I do think I prefer the top blocker corner where it's a little bit more like the 910 or something like that, where it has a blocker in the top corner. That feels a little nicer to me. But there are some good and interesting design elements on the board. So right at the rear of the base is kind of like a finger rail or finger ledge that runs almost all the way across the back. That's really interesting, very unique, and I kind of like how the board encapsulates itself up to the sides as well. So it's interesting to see some design iterations and some changes on that. I do think the way that the case fits together is much nicer than the round 1. I do like the base. Still not a fan of that top badge, and I hope he does just a straight 65% where you have just keys all the way down on that right hand side, because if he does that, this would actually turn from a no thanks to a probably I'll buy it from my perspective.
Really, the logo, but that big of a deciding factor for you?
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
it's understandable. I mean, it is a pretty defining feature of this particular board. He does have some kind of reasoning as to why he likes the nautical theme going forward in this. If anyone was curious to read on that, he did elaborate a little bit, but this is kind of interesting. I don't know, the design doesn't entirely do it for me. I think I prefer the look of the V1, even though that wasn't entirely for me either. I think I agree with you on the logo. It's a little too imposing, maybe. It takes up a little bit too much of the keyboard's view, I think, when you look at it. But I kind of like that back design, and the weight design I think is quite nice, the anchor kind of system.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just a straight 65% with that weight design on the base, I'd probably go for it. I think it looks quite nice like that. I'm just not a fan of that top badge. I think the top corner, like the 910, is the nicer of the two, but I still don't like the logo particularly, and I don't think it fits particularly well in the design language. But hey, that's just my personal view. This is a really subjective thing. We've got very little else to talk about on this one because we're not sure how the gasket systems and the internals work just yet. But the design elements I do like is that kind of that ledge across the base at the back. That's really nice. That's a really nice little feature. I do like that a lot.
Yeah, pretty much the only other things we know that he's going to be aiming for about an estimate of $350-ish, which I think puts it about in line with where round 1 was, if I'm not mistaken. Somewhere in that above $300 range. And the group buy should be coming somewhere around Q3 of this year, so potentially not too far away.
Yeah, I can't think of any of the boards done that inward pointing feet before, but I think that's a really good idea. I think that genuinely looks really nice.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other board that's done it.
Is this going to be the new bump on style, where you just face them inwards?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Anti-Rise triangles. Yeah. I think I like the fact that we're moving away from bump-ons per se.
Sure.
And I do like the fact that we're moving towards more kind of strips, or in some cases, nothing on the base. There are some boards out there that issue having bump-ons at all on the base, and they're designed to be used on the just on a desk mat. And I actually kind of like that. I think that looks really clean. But from there's practicality and standpoints as well and stuff like that. So I think it's an interesting look. I think it's different enough that I like it a lot.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we'll check back in once this hits the group buy phase as usual. Next up, we have the interest check for the PH60, which is a polycarbonate HHKB with palm plate. This is by Anonymous, the user, not the actual word. And this is a pretty simple 60% design board. Just a couple specs, of course. It's polycarbonate housing, 6.5 degree angle, seamless design, HHKB blocker top only, so it looks like they're going to eschew other top variants as well. Palm plate is going to be, I think, the only and default material there. It is going to be top mount, and there's going to be a bottom layer that I believe is polycarbonate as well. Kind of looks like it, judging by this picture, though he doesn't actually say. Shout out to Mekanisk for all these bits. He keeps he's like he's making sure it plays. So I can't. I'm trying not to laugh at it because it's kind of funny every time I hear it. Like we're talking about keyboard specs that I hear tasty in my ear. It's kind of.
I'm so glad I turned these on. I'm so glad I turned these on because I hear you talk and you'll be like, and I think it's and you'll just pause, and I need to
get used to this. This is going to take me 1 or 2 episodes to get used to, I
think. Oh, I love putting things like this in it. Yeah. Tasty, guys, tasty.
You guys are too good, man. It's just
I feel like I owe Rudy like a keyboard or something to thank you for providing these sound effects.
Maybe we can hook him up with something.
Oh, Rob's not hearing the sound effects. Rob's not hearing the sound effects?
Aren't other people are hearing them, right? Why would it work for some but not all?
Oh, they're just quite quiet. Okay.
Oh, they're quiet?
Yeah, they're quiet. Oh, they're very quiet. Okay. I'm not sure if I can log into Streamlabs to change them while you're streaming, Brian. So
I don't know. Is it ran off the alert box?
It is,
source?
yeah. If you go into each one, you can configure them independently, and you can change the volumes up and down. So I think it's set to 50% default, and I think I put them about 75% on build streams, and that's just right in terms of the volume. So not to worry about it. We can sort it out after the stream.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that after the stream.
So Lysinor, the Gran one is coming. It is coming.
Oh, is it? Okay, good teaser.
It won't be on stream this week, but it's coming, don't worry.
Fantastic. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand, though, the PH60. How do you feel about this fairly simple 60%?
This looks simple, and this kind of ticks all the boxes that the Sirius ticked for me as well, in terms of being a full plastic board, which is great for travel, great for sound. We all, we were starting to experiment with more materials and things like that. Polycarbonate's been done for a while, so I think that's a really good option. Palm plate, great idea. Don't disagree with that at all. I think it's fantastic that we're using different plate materials now, and anything that takes us away from metal plates, in my opinion, is a good step. The fact that it's compatible with most 6% PCBs as well, perfect. There's no reason to not do that, and unless you want to start using daughterboard and really take it into the design. But something simple as this, I think that makes a lot of sense. The design looks simple. It looks pretty easy to machine. There's nothing particularly difficult to machine on here, apart from the one curve on the base. But again, that's not going to add too much to the cost or complexity. I think this is a pretty solid board, and I just hope they can stick to that $200 price point for the base, for the case, the base, and the plate. I think if they can get to that price consistently for $200, that's a bargain.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will probably buy this. I think the design is simple, but it's elegant enough. There's a little bit of design work, obviously, the swoops on the side. Do you think that this huge base swoop that's kind of towards the front bottom, do you think people are gonna think that's too close to something else that I don't want to say out loud?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of. I think it depends on how the two look next to each other. There's no logo underneath this one, which there is on the other board that you're thinking of, and things like that. But again, we're in a position now where there's only so many things you can do with rectangles, and it's great to see new things, but there comes a point where almost everything's going to kind of tread on something else's toes that's gone before it. It's kind of difficult. I think this has got enough going for it. It's different from anything else, specifically the price point and everything else. I do think that they need to make a prototype to see how this actually works. I am worried about those kind of curves being milled into polycarbonate. That may or may not be as easy to do as it is in aluminium, so we will need to do that. And that price as well, $200 for case. Without having tested that manufacturer, I don't know which one he's using, but if he hasn't got a prototype and he hasn't tested that manufacturer, that price may be subject to change. If they can keep that price point, I'd be very, very happy and very surprised as well at the same time. So lots of things to see on this one. I think definitely they need to prototype it and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I think this board is going to make a lot of people happy that missed out on. Well, I guess that's not necessarily missed out on, but if you remember, the Sirius was supposed to have a PC version, a polycarbonate version originally, and there were some prototypes floating around that are polycarbonate. But, obviously the majority of them wound up being Palm, and that's what he went with in the entire run, just to kind of, simplify logistics and whatnot. However, a lot of the people that have the prototype Sirius that is polycarbonate with the Palm plate seem to really, really enjoy it. And I think a lot of people were looking forward to it in the group buy, but obviously it just never happened, and we don't know if it will. So I think that being able to get a kind of a thicker, maybe denser polycarbonate board like this with that top mount Palm plate is going to be able to satisfy that hunger for the people that were kind of curious about the polycarbonate Sirius or other boards that are similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know that polycarbonate tends to give quite a good sound profile to keyboards, so I have high hopes for this particular board. So yeah, I'll be interested to watch this one, see how it goes. I think there's enough to the design that stands out on its own. Yeah, I think it just needs to prototype it. That's going to be the main trick for this.
Yep, absolutely. But that price point looking pretty solid. It should fit, all of your standard 60% PCBs that are GH60 style. So, looking forward to this. And assuming they achieve that price, count me in for one, I guess.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was trying to look at the engraving on the back, but I can't really work out what it is. There's only one picture of it, and it's not particularly clear.
I think he says what. No, maybe he doesn't say what it is. Okay, never mind. I
think it's kind of like that star shape in the middle with then 3 stars, smaller stars around. I think that's what it is, but I can't really tell. Almost like a snowflake star.
This is somebody's logo, isn't it? I feel like I've seen this before.
I am not sure.
Let
me see if I can find the logo.
So someone in chat is going to know this.
Okay, so I have found it. Yeah, I found it. 3 stars in the sun. It's kind of like a really common a Filipino flag. It's from, I think.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that makes sense. That's quite cool. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's good. Yeah, Filipino flag. Maladesh. Okay. Yeah. I was just googling around and.
Ron, shout out, credit where it's due. Ron DG did say it first.
Nice.
So, but yeah, thank you guys. So interesting, very cool. Is this? I wonder if this user is Filipino in that case.
I think he probably is if that's the case. Yeah.
There's no location here, so I can't stock location via Geekek. But looking forward to this project.
Someone does say that the PH stands for the Philippines, and it's really great to see a Filipino designer in the keyboard space. So there we go. That's in chat later on. I assume that means it's right, but hey.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was on the Kira 60 as well. Yes, you're right. It was the same, a very similar logo as on the Kira 60.
Oh, that's right.
I do remember that. Yes. That's a really good shout. Died it to death. Died it to dead death. Died it to dead death. That took me a while to process that one. Yeah, died it to death. Yeah. You're right. It absolutely was on the Kira 60. I'd completely forgotten about that, but it was. But the fact that it's on a flag means it's an open source kind of under fair use, I would assume. I'm no lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but I would imagine that it takes it away from that.
All right. So looking forward to this one, guys. Definitely going to be supporting that one when it comes to fruition, assuming they hit somewhere near the target price point. Let's go ahead and move on to this is another pretty interesting project, actually. This is by Bruce Din. And this is an interest check for the Ori 87, which is a relatively unique TKL, I guess you might say, that features 0.75U blockers. So that's kind of one of the deciding factors here, because it makes the layouts quite interesting, which I will show momentarily. But let's talk about a few specs here. So aluminum housing with brass weight, nothing out of the ordinary there. 7-degree angle. Colors are going to be black, silver, and red. Plate materials, aluminum and potentially FR4 depending on interest. PCB is going to support QMK via Type-C, RGB underglow, and potentially 2 thicknesses. So we might see 1.6mm and 1.2mm options here, which is kind of cool. The unbuilt weight is going to be about 2 kilograms, which is about 4.4 pounds. So hefty enough as far as keyboards are concerned, in my opinion. And so the kind of interesting things and deciding factors of this board are going to be both the blocker with the potential different layouts as well as the actual mounting choice, which is kind of a brain scratcher if you ask me, but we'll get to that in a second. So checking out the layouts here, this is going to be kind of a standard TKL affair, or you can opt for the 7U WinKey bottom row. But if you want the blockers, I think you're going to be opting for a 6U spacebar is what it looks like. Then you obviously have those .75. I'm trying to find the best picture for the blockers, but he doesn't actually have caps around any of them, so kind of feels bad.
I think the layout's the best picture to show it. To be honest, it's the easiest way to show that bottom row. But 1.25 U cap, a 0.75 U blocker, 2 more 1.25 U caps, and then a 6 U spacebar, and then it's replicated on the other side in reverse. It's a really interesting layout, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen this actually. I definitely recall it at least being on the E8 V1. Which is a group buy that kind of went to shit years and years ago, before Exclusive took that project over, I believe. But we don't generally see this kind of bottom row set up on a TKL quite this often. So I don't know. I'm curious how people feel about this. Is this like sacrilege to do something like this? Do you crave the more standard win-keyless TKL experience, or is this doable as well?
I mean, for me, I think you could quite easily do the standard 1U blockers, and then instead of having the 1.57, 1.5 in the middle, you could easily do a 6U in the middle there, and put 2 of the keycaps around the side. That's achievable. So for me, it feels like it's forcing something that doesn't visually look as nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the way we do win-keyless today. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think the chat is more or less agreeing with you here. It's 7U all the way. I don't like it at all. But the win key is right there, so it's not actually win-keyless. Yeah, it's fair. It's dumb, but you do you. It's 6U pain for stab wires. Okay, yeah. So maybe a lot of people are not so into this. Maybe people definitely more appreciate the traditional approach for a win-keyless TKL.
I think 6U's got its space. I think it works well as a full-size spacebar on 40s. So Equinox, for example, that works really well on that, just 6U space. I think it works really well on 1800 boards to give you that kind of functionality across the bottom row in that traditional layout. But I absolutely don't see any reason why you can't do the standard win-keyless layout and add a 6U bottom row to that if you wanted. It's absolutely possible. It's plausible to do. You can add both footprints. There's no reason why not. You can put caps around the sides. I just feel like that might be a better option than putting this 0.75U blockers in, personally. Looking at the rest of the board, though, because we talked about the layout for a little bit.
Let's talk about the mounting.
Go for it. You tell me your thoughts on the mounting. Do you want to talk through how it works first?
This is kind of strange. So I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, because I have gone through all this thread. But he's a little new to doing something like this, and he wasn't entirely sure what the outcome on the mounting was going to be. So I think it looked like he wants to kind of go a gasket mount route, but he wants to kind of play it safe with the top mount. And he's kind of settled on a hybrid style that he calls top mount with gasket, I think. But the idea is that it's kind of similar to like the key cult style, as you can see here in the base. You have gasket tabs here that the plate presumably rests on. And if you check out this picture as well, this is the plate over that. As you can see, the plate itself also has the gaskets on the outer tabs of the plate. So the plate should be, gasketed all the way around. However, you'll notice that he has screws on each of these. 2 screws per mounting point, 16 screws for this plate that actually go into the top mount design, which I will show here. Here's the upside down view. So as you can see, it's actually screwed in as a top mount, but there is gaskets there, and there's going to be gaskets below it as well, obviously, once you reach the bottom here. But yeah, I mean, you're still screwing it into the top mount with metal screws. So how do you feel about this system? Do you think that this is just not going to work because it's kind of too half-assed, or is this I get what they're trying to do. It's basically offering 2 mounting systems in one. One, it means that they've got a design that's kind of redundant in terms of it has redundancy built in. So if one doesn't work, the other one will. Top mount's achievable. The plate's kind of got some flex cuts cut around those tabs, so top mount won't feel too harsh on this particular one. Although it's a metal plate, so it's not going to offer much in terms of flexibility, but it probably will make it really consistent. In terms of the actual adding the port, theoretically you could just take out those screws for the top mount and use it as
as a gasket mount board, assuming it's got the right compression ratios and everything else in there.
I would hope. Let's say we would hope that. Yeah.
One of the really interesting points that I do notice about the top mount is it doesn't that looks like it's the lesser thought out mounting system for two reasons. If you look at that picture that you've got now where the plate's screwed into the top piece, you can see that the screws are not flush against the plate. And you can see that the screws are raised slightly away from the plate. I think that's just to show on the render how they go together, and they've then put them flush with the actual inside edge of that top case. The other thing as well is there's some very, very thin parts of metal that come out of the case and into those flex cuts that are built into the top of the plate. They're going to be very difficult to machine. That's going to add a lot to machine costs. They're going to be easy to damage, easy to break. If you bend one of those, putting your plate in, that's going to cause issues with fitment and stuff like that. It's going to be hard to get tolerances on there as well. Usually you don't want to fill in those flex cuts, so that does worry me from the top mount perspective. The other thing that's really interesting as well is when you put those screws in, you want those screws to be flush with the plate, so it's holding the plate tight against the top case. That's standard. Even if you've got a little gasket in there, you still want to be compressing that gasket a little bit or whatever, you know. The screws need to be flush. Now, those screws there, they're actually sitting proud of the plate, and even if they were flush to the plate, they'd still sit a small amount proud because of the type of screws they are, and there's no what's the word? There's no counterboring, not counterboring. When you make the screws flush, the words go from my head.
Countersunk?
It's 2 a.m. Countersunk, that's it. It's 2:30 in the morning, guys. Sometimes I struggle with words at this time of the day. So the screws aren't countersunk, but even if they were, the issue is on the base of the keyboard when you flip that over. The screw heads are going to actually clash on the pour-on mounting points. So they should have recesses milled into those for the screw heads to sit into, or they should be shorter so that the screw heads go either side of the mounting points or something like that. So I do feel that there's kind of been some oversights, and it might have been tweaked and it might have been changed ready for the final design. But looking at it now, I do have some concerns about those.
Yeah, kind of interesting.
I actually think the gasket solution looks like it works better in this particular board than the top mount solution does, and just for those reasons, I think you need to make accommodations in the design for that top mount to work alongside the gasket mount if you want users to be able to switch between the two. So. And I don't think that's necessarily being done.
Yeah. Also, Tenstrong brings up two really good points that I want to highlight here. One, there is he says monster tab under the spacebar, and I couldn't agree more. When you have a top mount mounting point that close to your spacebar, you're going to have a very firm and very loud spacebar. Not a lot of people are into that. Some people are. Definitely not my preference. I prefer to avoid those areas for mounting around the spacebar on top mount boards, just because I prefer a more subdued spacebar. But that's definitely something to think about if you're using a board that's kind of like this. And he also brings up the point that there are actually positioning tabs on the left and right of the bottom of the case. And doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of a gasket mount when you have metal touching metal? Or what's the whole point of having those there?
It does, yes. That was something I was going to talk about as well. So it's not 100% clear from the renders how the plate interacts with those, because if you look at that one where the plate is in place, it doesn't look like it's touching.
It looks like it's not touching. But then why have them?
Exactly. That's the question, isn't it? That's the $1 million question. I'm wondering if they go on the inside of the top to align the top.
It looks like they do go on the inside of the top, but it looks like they're still going to touch the plate potentially.
I don't know. It looks like they won't touch the plate. It looks like the plate, if you were to drop the plate in, it would sit inside them, and they're just for alignment of getting the top piece in the right position on the board. I think that if that's the case and the tolerance and clearance is there, then that's absolutely fine. This
board is going to be a lot of dependency on tolerances, I feel like.
Well, everything is. But when you come to manufacturing, so much depends on tolerances. Ask Mr. Petrov. We've had some very long conversations about that this week. So yeah, I mean, tolerances mean a lot in keyboard design. I think those tabs on the side are absolutely fine. I think that they're just for case alignment. I don't think the plate will touch them. The render's probably just not at the right angle to show that. And I appreciate Tenstrong that it looks like it's sat on it. I don't think it is. I do agree, however, with your comment about the mounting point for the spacebar. If you use use a gasket one, I think it will be fine, because that kind of those kind of gasket strips, they will, and the kind of leaf spring kind of flex cuts around those tabs, they will alleviate that, and I think that will be fine. It's when you're using the top mount one where it's going to feel a little bit more stiff, especially if on the inside of the case it has those thin metal pieces that come into those grooves on the plate. That really does worry me, because that's difficult to machine. They look like they're about 1 millimeter thick, which is some manufacturers won't go below kind of 0.75 millimeters in thickness for any large area of metal, and depending on how tall they are, it would worry me. It would add a lot of tooling to try and build those out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. So the weight system's also kind of interesting. So they have this this kind of bottom weight, which is more standard, and they have these kind of 2 side weights that you can kind of see from the bottom here. And I think, judging by the way this interest check is actually written, I think these are actually intended to be like sound altering, effectively. Like, you're supposed to be able to get a specific sound signature by having this kind of setup. So that could be interesting as well. But I don't know. This board is going to be a very, very questionative. This is going to be very dependent on a lot of things. But I think it could be really cool in the right circumstances. I actually appreciate the design quite a bit. I even like the logo here, which is, probably appalling to some people on the top. But I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this board, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Now, interestingly, Bruce, the thread run on this, does say he's got a sponsor who's paying for production of one of the boards or something like that. I can't remember the exact wording, but I did see that earlier on. So it'd be interesting to see how a prototype turns out. But I do think there's a lot of complexity in this board, and there's some things that I would definitely want to change before I took it to manufacturing.
Yeah, for sure. And he does say that, at least for this run, he probably is going to limit it to 10 units. So it's going to be very, very small, because that's what he feels that he's going to be able to actually accomplish and handle. So good thing that he's not trying to bite off more than he can chew as well. Always good to see that. All right, let's move on to our next topic here, which is something that I think a lot of people are going to be pretty happy with. This is the interest check for the Heavy 9, which is the Norbauer's kind of aftermarket housing for the Leopold FC 980C keyboards. So obviously Norbauer's been around for a while now, many years, and he's been doing aftermarket cases for other keyboards, primarily Topra boards. So he's done one for the Nova Touch, he's done one for the Real Force, and now he's also done the Heavy 6, which was for the FC 660C, but now this is the kind of big brother to that. So this is the Heavy 9, obviously for the much larger 980C keyboard. And yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this. It's going to be very similar to the previous cases that he's made. So very, very low angle here. He's looking at 3 degrees, which is actually going to be matching the 980C and the Heavy 6. Yeah. So there you go on that. He's going to be offering at least 2 colors, a textured white and a textured black, which he thinks is going to be matching the stock color caps of the Leopold FC 980C. And so a couple things are kind of interesting here. So he's going to be using a thick steel bottom plate, which is pretty good. He's looking at launching the group by the next month or so. Estimated price is going to be around $500, which is, as most of us know, not exactly cheap, but Norbauer has, he has a very good eye for quality and a good attention to detail, and he doesn't like to let products out of his hands that aren't, 100% A-plus stock. So, because of that, he does a lot of the manufacturing these days and QCing in the U.S. as well, and I believe California. So, he's not really outsourcing anything, and because of that, the price does go up quite a bit. He's looking at some pretty nice finishing options and stuff, so that's why the price is so high. Some people can understand and respect it, some people can't. Obviously, I'll leave that up to you. But yeah, so what do you think about this one? I know you're not much of a Topra guy, Jay, but
I'm not. But boards like this might be the thing that gets into it. I don't know actually if there's an ISO version of the 980C. There is of the 660. I think. Yeah, why not? I think this looks great. I really like Norbauer's kind of sense of style. The finishes he's had on some of the other boards as well, the Heavy 6. And was it the last run of the TKL case that he does, where it had that VHS effect finish? That was stunning. I really like that. So yeah, I think this will do really well. I've got a big soft spot for kind of 1800 style layouts, and this kind of fits that bill really well. So who knows? Maybe I should get one. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually own one of the Norba Force cases, and I think it's absolutely spectacular. I think Norbauer's, like you mentioned, his sense of style. I think his kind of vision into this sort of thing is just so good, and he's just so eloquent about everything, and I just absolutely love his products because of it. One thing I thought. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on. No, you go.
All right. Well, I was going to bring up something kind of interesting here. So he does say that here. Obviously, he's going to be offering kind of a textured white and textured black color, which he does say right there. But he says perhaps others, including anodized, if folks are interested in the run. So this is interesting to me because maybe some astute viewers might remember that I think it was on the Norba Force round 2.
Yep.
Where he basically made a post all but swearing off anodization forever on all of his products because he just doesn't like, the inconsistent issues that it often has, and just a lot of the problems that it has basically. And he kind of just swore it off. And it's interesting that he's considering it here again because he seemed pretty determined last time to never use it again.
I think the thing is, people like Salvan have shown us that you can, if you are really careful with picking the right anodizer, you can get incredible results. If you haven't seen Salvan's anodization, guys, it is really good. And he doesn't do it in-house, he does outsource it to another company, but he's been through quite a few companies to try and find somewhere that's really, really good. So perhaps Norbauer has been influenced by that and found somewhere that has, a level of quality that he finds acceptable, that's controllable. Whereas the manufacturer who's using before maybe didn't have that kind of level of quality control. That could absolutely be a thing. The other interesting thing is that he's still interested in using some of these other kind of finishes like powder coating as well, which we don't see too often. We've seen a rise of Cerakoting. Powder coating is still kind of rare in keyboards because it adds quite a bit of thickness to the cases, but in designs like this it kind of fits it really well because it's already a chunky design. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays through, but I suspect he's just found a good manufacturer now that can do repeatable anodization in a good way, and that might be the thing that's just turned him back onto that one.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of Norbauer, and I know a lot of people are, this one could be for you guys. Group buy coming in the next month or two, but make sure your wallet is ready because it's not going to be cheap.
No, $500-ish probably for the case, plus then you need the FC 980C as well. Which is
another,
cheap,
what is that? That's about a $200 board, I think, right? The 980C.
I couldn't say, probably $200-300, yeah, something like that. What I would say though, guys, is if you are interested in seeing more about Norbauer, and he's one of the most interesting guys in the world. Brian and I spent a long time talking to him in Seattle and the place, and he's been on Top Clock a few times. But he did a really, really good video with Mr. Nathan Kim, Tehe Types, which is on YouTube now. I watched it a little while ago. I think it's called Invisible Makers of the World or something like that. But definitely go check it out. It's well worth watching.
It was super good. It was really high quality.
Yeah, and I always like watching his how to wax your keyboard video as well because that's just exquisite.
Oh, they're amazing. They're amazing. If you're not subscribed to Norbauer's YouTube channel, do yourself the favor because you will enjoy the content.
Yeah, his visit to Signature Plastics as well. That video is.
Yeah, I can talk about
in this hobby. That video is kind of like it just explains so much about Signature Plastics. It's really good.
Yeah, I could talk about Norbauer and his content like all day, and I have spent like full days talking to him. And you're right, he really is like one of the most interesting people.
People asking for the link now. Let me find that link before we move on to the next one.
Okay. For the YouTube video, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it now. Gosh, YouTube has been terribly slow for me. Invisible Makers of the World. Here we go. So if I copy the video URL, and that's the video I was talking about, Invisible Makers of the World, Ryan Norbauer. Definitely watch it. It's well worth a watch. He's very interesting as a guy. And then also go and check out Norbauer's YouTube channel as well. Let me find a link for that.
Yeah, he posts videos so randomly, but they're always fantastic.
How on earth Ryan Norbauer only has 800 subs on YouTube. I have no
Right?
idea. But guys, go and sub to him because he might only have a few videos, but he had one about polycarbonate finishes a couple of months ago, which was really interesting. He's got the one about how to wax your $1,000 keyboard. Definitely go check all those out. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
I also feel like some of his videos have been taken down actually, or maybe I'm just looking at the wrong spot. Oh no, it's the roll there. I was just on the wrong tab. But there you go. Go check it out. Yeah, 801 now. Well, yeah, 819 now. Just refreshed. It was on 800 when I was on the page. I've just flicked over to the next one. It's on 819 now. So there you go, guys. You're doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't understand why he doesn't have like tens of thousands of followers.
824. It's going up. 826.
Hey, Top Clack's doing something! Hooray! Nice. All right. Well, with that in mind, that's coming soon, guys. Let's move on to some key sets, shall we, Jay?
Why?
Because we do not have a shortage on GMK interest checks this week. I know you thought we might, Jay, but we don't. They're out there.
Really? I'm not sure if that makes me happy or sad.
So, first and foremost, we have an interest check from Upas of Canon Keys, of course, with GMK Solar Red. And this one's kind of interesting in a couple ways. So this one is actually themed after a shoe from Nike under the same name, if I recall. And this one is going to feature, like the shoe, this one's going to feature glow-in-the-dark keycaps. So
yeah,
that's going to kind of be your defining feature here on this set. How do you feel about glow-in-the-dark in keyboards?
So I have some of those glow-in-the-dark switches that Mike kindly sent us ages and ages ago. I've never used them. They're still sat in their box. I've never used them. I don't feel like it's for me. It kind of fits into that whole RGB kind of position for me, where it's not something that I particularly like, but I can see why people do like it in the wider aspects of the community. Maybe not in the core of the community. And what we have to remember is that we are very much the niche within the niche. We're a clique within a niche, and we're kind of like the customs kind of it. The whole keyboard community as a whole, that whole 500, 600,000 subscribers on Reddit and all of the rest of the people that hang around the peripheries, they kind of like that whole RGB stuff. They're the kind of people that buy mechanical keyboards, that are gaming keyboards and all that are branded that way. And they probably, that kind of person probably would like, a high quality keycap that does glow in the dark. So I can kind of see the benefits of that. The really interesting thing for me is that material is quite abrasive, it's quite rough. If anyone's done 3D printing and used glow-in-the-dark filament, they'll know that adding that kind of luminosity to plastics does change the texture of the plastics quite a bit. So it's really interesting that GMK are going to do this and that they're going to work on it as well. So I'm interested to see how it comes out, whether I'm interested in the keycaps or not is kind of a byproduct. I'm really interested to see how well these keycaps turn out and how much of that kind of luminosity they can get into doing something like that. In terms of the rest of the set, it's just GMK Demonic, I think, or very, very similar. It's the same colours as what GMK Demonic was, but with these kind of added on accents to match the shoes that that Upas is using as inspiration. I didn't realise Upas was a sneakerhead, but apparently he is. So he's been looking at these, the Nike Air Yeezy 2 in the Solar Red colourway, which is not something I'd ever seen before I'd seen this interest check. It's kind of a world that escapes me. Is custom sneakers, but hey, if that's what he likes, then
hey,
why not
it's not the first colorway in the community that's designed after a sneaker colorway.
Yeah,
Hyperfuse, sure. Obviously, and I think that there have been more. The 3-run, yeah. I think there's even 1 or 2 more. So I mean, this is totally not exactly out of left field, but interesting with the glow in the dark approach. We have seen that, right? Mizu had a glow-in-the-dark cap or 2.
Did it? I think that was luminosity infill on the Rama caps, right?
Oh, is that what it was?
I think so.
Chattel sort us out. Have we seen?
Yeah,
we've seen signature plastics do it. Have we seen glow-in-the-dark GMK caps yet? Mizu did. It has one glow-in-the-dark key. Mito has also done it. Okay. One of his Godspeed alternative kits. Okay, so it's certainly not the first time I guess we've seen this.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I didn't realize that it had been done before. Excellent. I have Mizu, so I'll have to have a look and see if I've got that key in the kit. Which kit was it in for Mizu? Was it in the base kit or was it in one of the novelties kits or something?
I think
I have
know.
Everything but space bars.
Probably the novelties kit.
Chat will tell me. Tell me which
sort us out.
kit you guys. Yeah. And I'll dig that out and I will try it today. Mel, did I just say Nike rather than Nike? Yeah. So UK versus US pronunciation. Hey, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
When I heard you say Nike, it took everything in my power to like not laugh.
It's when I hear Nike, I think the same. So
that's fair.
It's one of those things.
You know what? That's fair.
It's like Adidas. You guys call it Adidas, right? It's the same thing. It's just different pronunciations, different parts of the world. Hey, yeah, you go to Germany and ask them how they pronounce Volkswagen, and it'll be very different to how you pronounce it.
That's true.
It's just different pronunciations. That's all it is.
Yeah. Iwade is saying, though, it's a company name. It shouldn't be pronounced differently. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but it is. That's just the way we say it over here. That's just the way it's branded over here. I think the adverts say it here as well. I think the adverts say it as Nike here as well, not Nike. So
really,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna have to go on like a UK commercial check on YouTube after this just to see if I can find any. But without rambling on too long here, guys, how do we feel about the actual set itself? So let's take a look at the base kit compatibility. It looks fairly standard. It looks like it has a lot of basic stuff. Obviously you have your numpad in there, your HHKB saying on 75, 65% stuff. You have basic ISO support by the looks of it. You have we see this 1.25 tab key in here again too. We've been seeing this a little bit more lately as well. So maybe a little bit of extra 40 support in the base kit. It doesn't look like he's potentially going to have a ton of kits here, I think he's just opting for a 3-kit structure here. So we have the base kit, we have the spacebar kit, and then we have what he's calling the bread kit, which is of course a portmanteau of black and red. So if you don't want those accents, you kind of just want a GMK black and red set, you can kind of just equalize it with that, and you don't have to worry about the glow-in-the-dark stuff, obviously.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is it effectively does turn it into. There's been a couple of other sets. I know Demonic's one that's used these colors before. I think there's another set that's black and red that's used very similar colors before as well. So for me, I'm wondering how people feel about that. And I'm almost playing devil's advocate with it. I'm wondering how people would have felt that if they owned Demonic, if this was like an accent kit for Demonic to get that colorway, or if it's better to run it as a full key set, or there's multiple different opportunities in here. I wonder how people feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's kind of interesting, though. I mean, I get the idea, but is glow-in-the-dark something that's actually being asked for, or is this kind of just a, do it because it's kind of cool approach? Because I'm okay with that, too. But I've always been curious, because I feel like, at least in our community, no one really asked for glow-in-the-dark switches. Obviously, you brought up the glow-in-the-dark Gatorons, I think it was, that Mike did from Novelties a while back. I don't think those went over that well. I don't think they sold that well. I actually wound up using mine. But I don't actually use the glow-in-the-dark feature. I don't, look and care about that. I have caps on it, so it's, whatever. But, is this something, a lot of people are asking for? I'd be curious to know.
I think for me, as I said before at the start, it fits around the periphery of the edges, just because the KB customs kind of people who are really, really in depth into the community, and I think this will fit better in that kind of outside that core 5,000-6,000 people and into the realm of the other 400,000 people or 500,000 people, whatever it is. I think that fits better into there, like a lot of key sets do. There's a lot of key sets that generate that large popular interest, but not just to the core. I think if you look at a lot of the stuff like the OG die subs, it's that core set of people that are all looking out for them and things like that. But then you widen the grasp and widen the net a little bit, and there's a lot of people that are looking for this. I think this is genuinely something I'd pick up just for the novelty of having something a little bit different. I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm not into Nike shoes as particularly. You can say Nike, Jay. You don't have to try to start conforming just for us. You can still say Nike.
You, bro. I'd prefer it if you kept saying Nike, because I think it's funnier.
Sure. But yeah, I think why not? I think I'd be really interested to see how people would like a glow-in-the-dark accent kit. I think that might work well as well. So if this set doesn't take off, I don't know what kind of level of interest Dupass has had. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's it's fantastic to try something new, even if the core of the community don't like it. The whole kind of wider community might, and I think it's a great idea to try something new. I think adding so many glow in the dark keycaps is good. I like the idea of having a space bar that glows in the dark. Not going to lie. So yeah, I think it'll do well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of scanning through comments now, but it seems like quite a few people are interested.
Yeah, right. So, I think it's good to try something new. We shouldn't just do the same old thing all the time because it's been done before. We should challenge ourselves, change our preconceptions about what's right and what's wrong. Stop necessarily, doing things for that core of the community, but widen the grasp and do it for the wider community. What do more people want to see in that kind of thing. Yeah, I'd be all over this. I'll buy this just for the novelty of having it to say that it's something different that someone's trying, and you've got to commend that in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no arguments with that. So cool. We'll have to wait and see how this does once it hits the group buy phase. Let's move on to something that is quite interesting. This is by Gergwurst, I believe. This is an interest check for GMK Bread. This time it's not the portmanteau. This is actually bread, the baked good.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Yeah, we have GMK Bread now, and it's as far as I'm aware, it's actually about bread.
Yeah, it seems to be going by the novelties at least. I'm not sure that it definitely conveys the colours of bread to me, but I can kind of see the influence. It feels more like latte to me. That's what it looks like, especially with the old alphas. It feels more like a latte set, like a light version of what Cafe was.
That's what I was thinking too,
yeah. But hey, not to want to look a gift horse in the mouth, I do think we have a lack of brown colorways, and I think this looks pretty nice overall, especially the base kit. Just looking at the base kit, there's a ton of compatibility in there. You've got pretty much everything you can need, including full UK ISO, as well as 7U bottom row, HHKB, you name it, it's in there. It's a pretty good solid base kit as that, whilst keeping it quite tight on the number of keycaps used, so I think that's pretty good. The alt alphas, again, interesting. This actually is bigger than I was expecting it to be when I started to look at this kit. So actually, not just including the standard alpha kit, it also includes the numpad and space bars and split space bars, as well as everything else like Alice B and UK ISO keys and the F keys as well. So that's actually a huge kit when you look at it. That's a really big kit for alternate alphas. Normally, when we see alternate alphas, it's literally just the alpha block. This kind of takes it one step further. It's a lot bigger than that. So that's really, really interesting as well. Extensions kit is pretty standard, pretty straightforward. Interestingly, if you get the alt alphas, you get the B key included, but if you get the base kit, you don't get the extra Alice B. You have to buy the extensions kit for it. I do think we'll start to see a trend of that B being more and more often being in base kits going forward. I think the popularity of the Alice layout is just going to change that, and that's going to happen. And then we get onto the novelties. And Brian, we know that we both like a text novelty, you particularly. How do you feel about Get That Bread?
I mean, I like it. I don't know what else to say. Like, I feel like there might be an inside joke that I'm missing here, especially because there's a corgi novelty. I'm not really sure what that actually relates to. So I feel like this might be an inside joke that I'm not a part of. But with that said, I like the novelties. Like, I think they're pretty good. I like the whole kit even. Like, you get the text novelty. I think the baguette enter is totally fine. You get the toast, the loaves, the croissant. Those are good as well. So I think this is pretty awesome. I think the kit's nice. The overall set, I'm not in love with. I think the colorway's fine. I agree with you. I think having more brown sets in the wild is a good thing regardless. It doesn't catch me like something like Cafe did, which you look at Cafe and you kind of really feel that set, but this one isn't quite doing it for me as well. But I think it's fine, and I think it's nice enough, and I think the kit structure is pretty nice as well. And I appreciate the novelties. So.
The only thing I would change about the kits is in that alt alphas kit, I would put an extra tab in there, or I'd put it in the base kit, and that way you could use it on two different keyboards at the same time. If you bought the base kit and the alphas kit, you could have a 60% and a TKL with a 7U bottom row, for example, and it would work just fine that way. So I would definitely look at doing that. Just add one key. But other than that, I think the kit's pretty good. I really like the novelties. The baguette is really clever. I like that a lot. Get that bread. Well, why not get that bread, right?
Yeah. I feel like
why not? Hey,
I probably won't buy this base kit, but I kind of want to buy the novelties just for the novelties.
Yeah,
this might be one of those sets for me.
I do think I prefer the alternate alphas to the actual alphas, but then it reminds me much more of having like a latte than bread. But I'm wondering how well those alternate alphas would go with the cafe mods. That's my big wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the colors are maybe a little too close to cafe on the base kit, but I think the alternate alphas are actually pretty good. I kind of like. I prefer the look with the alternate alphas. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's necessarily too close to cafe. So I think it looks similar to cafe, but obviously I'm colorblind and no one should take my opinions on colors anyways. So I don't even know why I'm talking about colors. With that said, I think this set's fine. I like the novelties. Deskpad is pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think the kit's good. As I say, literally the only change I'd make to this entire set is to put that extra tab key in. I think that's the only change I would make. I think everything else works just great as it is.
I think I just really want a croissant novelty because that just looks so funny. I love it. But why the corgi? Why do you know why the corgi's in here?
No, someone posted a picture of a corgi's butt later on in the thread, but I didn't see why. Someone said, okay, so you might want to focus on a specific type of bread, for example, croissants or baguettes. Someone comes back and says, croissants is not bread, those are pastries. Just make a corgi novelty, yet another loaf to match the theme. That seems to be the justification. Yeah.
Yeah, Gun and Cheese in chat says, corgis are bread-like. All right, corgis are bread-like. I'm learning a lot today, I'll be honest. This is quite interesting. I'll be interested to see how this one goes over. But let's move on to another GMK interest check. This one's by Raz, and this is GMK Avanguardia, which I probably pronounced wrong, but apparently I believe it's just the Italian word for avant-garde or vanguard, referring to all those extreme, daring, and innovative artists with a futuristic sight capable of anticipating their times. So, kind of an artsy theme going on here, and it's certainly an interesting set. How do you feel about this approach to the colorway? We see in that kind of accent row, kind of like Red Alert.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I think this set looks all right, actually. It reminds me a lot of Q01 from GMK in terms of the colors used. And there's been a lot of purple sets that we've seen in the past. This kind of touches more on the lilac side of purple, which I think I'm fine with. And to be honest, I think the base kit looks all right. I don't dislike that kind of the coloured row across the top. I like it on, for example, DCS Red Alert. I like it on some of the other key sets that have had it in the past. I think it works quite well from that perspective. There is a couple of things that are quite unusual and interesting about the kits themselves as well, though. First thing I want to call out is that they do use two of the same ISO keys. If you're going to use basic ISO support, you've kind of got the same key twice. No matter who you're talking to, I think we all agree that that's the wrong way to do it. You need to make sure that those keys are different. If you're going to use the row 3 key that's got pipe backslash, make the row 4 key the terminal one, or put something else in there that's different. I don't really mind as long as they're not the same. But the row 1 keys are kind of interesting as well, because they've got that pipe backslash in 2 different colors there as well. So you can have it in either mod color or mod stroke alpha color, the monotone, or you can have it in the accent color as well. And then a 1U backspace key as well, which is quite interesting to have in that position on the base kit renders. But it seems like the base kit is trying to conform to a lot of different things. It's got a 2U shift, for example, in there, loads of 1U keys that support some 40s, as long as you're not splitting space bars. Kind of works, I guess. I don't think it's a bad base kit. There's a lot in there.
It's a little funky, but like you said, I think it probably works. There are quite a few kits here too. So there is a novelties kit here, which I mean I don't understand because I'm not an artist, but I believe it's a lot of the references have been taken from this particular reference image. It's very heavily inspired by. So while I don't really understand a lot of this, but interesting.
that was something I was going to come on to after we talked about the kits, to be honest, but it's probably a good segue into it. I kind of, whilst I like the colorway, for me, it doesn't hark back to the inspiration. So this whole avant-garde kind of pop culture type stuff, is great inspiration. I think that's fantastic. Some of the artwork that's displayed in the thread is stunning, to be honest. So, it's really, really good. But I don't see how that's replicated in terms of the actual key set itself. It just seems to be take a black color, take a purple color, and make a key set, rather than necessarily taking the inspiration from the avant-garde stuff. The only place the avant-garde stuff seems to fit is in terms of the novelties, where a couple of the shapes that are common in avant-garde pictures have been turned into novelty keys. But very much in terms of the colorway, it doesn't harken back to avant-garde design or painting to me, or art in general. It's only when you get to Novelties Kit that's kind of shown any care or attention.
That's fair, but it might be worth pointing out that maybe this set isn't necessarily supposed to be themed around this. It's more of a he pulled some inspiration from sort of thing. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't want to comment on it necessarily one way or another, just because I don't know what's going on in this user's head. So I don't know if that's what he's trying to do. Maybe he's just likes a couple of the colors and he's pulling it out and bam, that's a key set, and that's fine. Or he wants to try to go with a whole overarching theme. But it looks to be like he kind of just pulled a little bit for inspiration and just kind of threw it on the key set, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But
no, not necessarily a bad thing.
It is what it is. But yeah, there is your Novelties Kit, which I think looks fine. For from my perspective, which is, I don't understand the artsy theme, but
sure.
I think they
the
look
novelties
fine.
fit the art theme really well. They do work. They do work really, really well. I think they're fantastic. It's just in terms of the color not fitting the thing is the only color the thing I wanted to mention there. As a standalone set, if they hadn't shown that piece of artwork up at the top, I would have really, really been much more invested in the set. I think it really works. I think the whole thing looks good. There's nothing wrong with purples. There's nothing wrong with blacks, and there's nothing wrong with those novelties kits.
People sure do love purple and black sets, because there have been quite a few of them lately, I feel.
yeah, there's been a few. There's quite a lot of them. But hey, purple's been common in this hobby
people like it.
a long time.
As long as people are happy, I think that's a big thing to consider.
Yeah, Taro, Hyperfuse, Black Lotus, First Love. How many purple sets has there been? There's been a lot, right? Tons.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And then the 40s kit, again, pretty standard fare in the 40s kit. It covers pretty much everything you could need it to cover. And then space bars as well, offering some split space bar options, as well as 7U and other things in accent colours as well. But yeah, pretty much all encompassing there. What I do really like, and the best part about this interest check, are the desk mats.
I agree. Yeah. Best part of this.
These desk mats, both of the desk mats, whether you want to take a look at the dark coloured one or the light coloured one, I think these both look absolutely fantastic. They contrast well, they look great. I think those will both be an absolute pickup for me. I think they're really wonderful, especially the whole kind of one that looks like a golf club on the right hand side with two golf balls above it and below it. In fact, it almost feels like it is golf themed the more I look at it. It looks like there's a golf theme there, and then if you look in the middle, it's kind of like a hole with a flag sticking out of it. Maybe I'm spitballing a little bit here.
You might be reaching, but I see where you're going with it. I respect what you're trying to do here.
Yeah, the desk mats are absolutely stunning. They really fit well. And this is where I want to make the counterpoint to what I was talking about earlier on, where the colours didn't work. These pieces of artwork really tie it back to the key set. And as soon as you put that key set on these desk mats, it absolutely works. I do think the interest check kind of detracts from itself by throwing that image up there right at the very beginning. But I can kind of see where all the shapes and designs have come from. I think there's some much better examples of avant-garde art that they could have used to kind of bring people into this. And by the time you get to the end of the interest check, I think it looks pretty damn good, to be honest, and I'm definitely interested. It especially looks good on that pink TKC Molly as well. I'm really impressed with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we shall see how it goes.
Yeah, we shall. Maybe these pictures. That sound, mate. It still makes me laugh. Shout out to Fatboy County for the tier 1 sub there. I hadn't heard the noise in a while, so that I heard it, and I got spooked because I was like, what?
I'm so glad I've turned those on. I'm so glad I turned those on.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to talk about on this interest check is the t-shirts. What do you think about the t-shirts?
I don't really care. I think they're fine. I think they're nice, and I think if people want to theme like their wardrobe around, you know, their favorite key set colorway or whatever, like I think that's fine. If you're into it, heck yeah, dude, more power to you. But I'm not in love with them.
Sure.
So that's my thought on them. But yeah. we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's still interest check. You know, once you can always reconsider things once they hit group buy. That's kind of one of the reasons why we do stuff like this. So, you know, we'll see what kind of changes they alter here once the group buy actually goes live. Then, you know, maybe we can decide whether or not we like it or love it or hate it or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Gundam Cheese says feels more like 80s inspired. Hey, the 80s was heavily inspired by avant-garde movement, so that's why it feels 80s, man. That's why it feels 80s, because the 80s were really inspired by that kind of stuff. So there you go. Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next set here. Take a little break from GMK. And this one's actually going to be PBT Musubi. This is an interest check by Urtazan. And this is quite an interesting set. So Musubi, maybe not entirely what you're thinking of right now, because I was taken aback by the name as well. Usually, when people think of Musubi, they think of something like Spam Musubi, which is kind of a Hawaiian snack, I guess, if you will. Where I actually don't know the full origins, but it's like Spam, rice, wrapped in seaweed. It's kind of like a quick snack, portable, almost sushi-esque inspired thing. Anyways, that is very much not what this is inspired by. So this is kind of themed around the thread that's worn by the two main characters in Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name if you want the English name to that. Fantastic movie. Even if you're not an anime fan, I highly suggest watching Kimi no Na wa because it is absolutely stellar. With that said, I don't care for the colors of this set. I think the colors, there's just too much of it going on, and I feel like he's trying to force too much out of these colors, and it's kind of just failing. Because the theme itself is lovely, and that movie is so amazing, and I would love to see a set come out of that. But I just don't know if this is the right one for me.
Sure. I mean, looking at that first image where it says Musubi, it's got the text and the kind of like the cords dangling down the side. I really liked that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the source material. I really like that image. I like the colors. I like how clean it looks. And I was really excited to see the key set. And I was kind of a little bit disappointed by seeing the key set because it just feels really garish and in your face and kind of doesn't work how I expected it to be. I think that this set would absolutely work better using that kind of base alpha tone across the whole set, and then having the legends as a different colours to try and make it up with maybe some accent keys thrown in there for the enters and the escapes and stuff like that. I think that might work a lot better than having all of these bright garish colours stuff out at you. It just feels too much for me. It's very much overpowering. But when you look at just the alphas in isolation, such as when you look at the Hiragana set, they actually feel kind of nice, and it feels kind of nice and relaxed to do that. So I think having that kind of paperish kind of beige cloth color as the basic colorway throughout, and then having the legends as all of the different colors may work better, and it might make this a stronger set overall. You can kind of get that aspect when you look at the novelties and you see how nice those shades of other colors, these pick the blue, the yellow, the red, look on those kind of beige keys. It looks much nicer on those than it does with the beige text on the brighter keys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. There is a Hiragana Sub-Legends kit too, so if you're into, you know, the more quote-unquote weeb set aspect these days, then that could be something up your alley as well. But yeah, I like I sort of like the approach, and I can kind of see where they're going, but I think this is just a little too overboard. I don't think the colors are coordinated quite well. But yeah, maybe we could see some revisions and another retake on this, I would hope, because I think the theme is quite nice, and I think there could be something amazing to come out of this, but what do you think to my suggestion of just putting the colours on as the legends and keeping that base colour? How do you think that would work? Do you think it looked good? Because I think that's the right way to take this set, to keep those colours and to keep that kind of theme. Yeah, no, I agree, because like you were saying in this top picture here, like the colors are actually pretty lovely in this top picture here. But then you look at the base kit breakdown, and I'm gonna quote someone from the chat here if I find it again, because it made me laugh a little bit. It's basically ketchup, mustard, and water. And like now, since I've read that, I can't think of anything else when I see this base kit now.
Yeah, I think definitely keep that kind of base color that's seen on the alphas as the actual keycap color across the whole thing, and then just make your modifier legends different colors. I think it would work so much nicer. You could easily throw in some accent keys at that point as well. You know, like an enter key, an escape key, some arrow keys based on some of the other colors as well, and it would look really, really nice. And there's nothing wrong with those yellow keys with the red legends on; they look fine. There's nothing wrong with any of the colors in isolation. It's just together, it just feels a bit too much. And when you look at kind of the inspirational image at the top, it kind of feels like the colors are very much secondary to that whole kind of beige. That should be the main focus of the set.
Exactly.
I just feel like there's too much pushed into it. When you see just the alphas on their own in that Hiragana set, it actually looks really, really clean in just those two colors. And for someone who usually thinks that Hiragana and all those other kind of sub-legends look really busy, that actually looks quite nice just on its own. It looks
they don't
really
have
clean.
the duplicate legends on the numero too.
On the numero, yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, so
good touch.
Yeah, I just think that's the right way to go with it. I think it has a lot of potential. The only other thing I did want to say is that these are all Pantone colors. We know that Pantones don't necessarily translate well into plastics, so you trying to find some good RAL composite comparatively tones would be a step in the right direction. But yeah, if they take on the feedback, I think it could do quite well. It could be really, really nice.
Yeah, Gundam Cheese says great colors though, each one fighting for attention. I totally agree.
Yeah, the colours
are
fantastic.
Totally
the colours are lovely. There's nothing wrong with the colours. The colours work well together. I just think there needs to be more emphasis on that beigey grey colour and less emphasis on the bright colours, and it will look great. I think that one change would make the set a whole different thing. Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree. All right, let's go ahead and move on from there. Next up, we have the interest check for GMK Pink on Navy. This is done by OG Walker, and there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's a pink on navy set, so if you like pink and navy, this could be for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about pink on navy?
I like pink and I like navy. It looks all right.
Yeah. I like pink and I like navy, and this set looks nice. It's fine. It looks simple. I feel like this is one of those sets where either you like the colors or you don't. And
it's interesting that this has come out right now, because one of the things I hadn't seen this until just before the show, because I've been massively busy this week and I haven't had a chance to check out Geekhack as things have gone live. But one of the things that I actually asked Upas about in chat today is when's Pretty in Pink coming, because I'm just about to buy the Deep Navy set that's going on by Tom. I think it's called Deep Navy. It's going on into group by tomorrow, which is kind of like navy with white legends. And I was really interested to put Pretty in Pink with that. So it's interesting that when I've had that thought this week, a set's come out at the same time that is basically pink and navy together. I think this looks arguably better than the Blink set that we've talked about recently. I think this probably fits together a bit nicer, but it will be harder to get it to look right on a board. It's not going to work on a black board, for example. We saw that with Metropolis. Again, great colorways. Metropolis, it's one of my favorite sets of all time, but it doesn't work on dark colored boards because blues and blacks next to each other don't always go. I think this would be very much the same for this. Looking at the renders, it looks great on a blue board. It looks great on a white board. But yeah, you just need to bear that in mind. But yeah, I think this looks good, and it's kind of subconsciously something I was looking for that I didn't realize I was looking for. So,
yeah, I honestly don't think it looks that bad. Compatibility looks more or less okay. As far as the base kit is concerned, it looks like you have very basic ISO support. You have the duplicate keys there once again, so kind of unfortunate there.
I would change that.
Yeah, definitely change that, because it doesn't cost anything extra to change. It's still the same amount of keys, and they still have a legend. So then you have the numpad in there. You have the basic ISO. You got lots of accents. I mean, it's a fairly standard base kit. But
as someone who's a fan of bigger base kits, I think this is kind of the ideal sort of size. It's very similar to Upas's set that we talked about earlier on today, and I think this kind of size base kit works really, really well. Literally, the only change I'd make to the base kit, well, I'd say if I can't have UK ISO because it's a set I'm really interested in, then at least make the 2 ISO legends different on the row 3 and 4 keys. Other than that, it's a really solid base kit. It fits for everyone. There's nothing that doesn't fit.
Yeah, and they're going for a very limited kit approach here. So aside from the base kit, you only have one additional kit, which is going to be a very simple Spacebars kit that does include your Alice layout B there as well. So there you go. Not a whole lot more to know on that one. We'll have to check back once this hits the group buy phase. He doesn't have any vendors lined up quite yet, I don't think.
No vendors lined up just yet, but I think it'll do quite well. One thing I would like to see is some kind of like desk mats, because I think like a navy desk mat with some pink bits on it somehow. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but it could be quite nice to have a desk mat that matches this one.
Yeah.
It'd work quite well.
Does it feel weird to see a GMK set without a desk mat? Even an interest check these days? I feel like...
No, not 100%, but I see what you mean, because we usually do see them. I just think that this would work really well with a desk mat. I think it's a set of colours that would work really well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool stuff there. Let's move over to this next one. This is by Malvix Studio. This is an interest check for PBT Modern Hangul. I know I say that wrong because it's not an English word and I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so this is Modern Hangul, and this is the set. It's a black and white set with some blue accents. I feel like there's not a whole lot more to say about this. When I first saw this, I thought it looked kind of similar to something like Metaverse, maybe, where you kind of have that black and white contrast focused, and you have red accents, which there are red accents in here, but this one also has blue accents as well, which is kind of interesting. So a couple interesting things about this as well is he says if there's enough interest, he'll include a Latins Alpha kit, which I thought was kind of strange because of the name of the set is Modern Hangul, and if you don't have the Korean sublegends, what's so Hangul about it? But maybe that's just me. Another thing I found interesting is that he's looking into not only Enjoy PBT for this, but also Hammerworks CRP. So maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen very many custom sets come out of Hammerworks besides just kind of the typical beige stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure, if I'm honest. I'm not sure. I don't know what they have the capability to do though either, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that might be something we just don't really know a whole lot of yet, and maybe we'll get some more information on that because a lot of people like the CRP caps, and I know a lot of them have the stem issues, which my set sadly suffered from. But if they get stuff like that fixed, I think that CRP is going to be a really good option. And if they're going to be able to do custom sets for the community like this, that could be really cool, and we might be able to see a new PBT competitor on the market. Albeit
absolutely.
at a potentially higher price point. We'll see.
Maybe. Hey, I'm interested to see how that goes though as well.
Yeah, certainly.
We've got other PBT manufacturers out there. It seems to be something that's scaling up. Infinity are making leaps and bounds. Cat's making leaps and bounds. Everything's pushing forwards in that direction. ePBT have improved a lot of stuff over the past 4 or 5 years. Loads of people are looking at doing PBT stuff. Hey, why not?
Sure, yeah. So how do you feel about this set? Colors, kits, etc., sub-legends?
Again, I'm going against everything I say on Top Black on previous episodes, but again, this is a sub-legend set that I really like. I've always been a fan of the Hangul legends and like Korean legends and things like that. So there are some that I do like, and I think that's what I like. I like simple sub-legends. These
clean.
Look pretty good. It does. It looks really clean, and especially if this is going to be in a die subset where you can get thinner legends than what we've already got the molds for in GMK, because I think these versions of GMK have very much thicker sub-legends, so to see it in something else where it's going to be die subbed will be absolutely ideal. Again, so the base kit covers a lot of stuff. Eschews numpad, eschews ISO, but it gives you all sorts of different functionality in terms of HHKB, accented arrows. If you're ANSI and TKL or smaller, you're pretty much covered. There's nothing else that's missing. There's even some 1U keycaps and stuff for the bottom row for control on alt and things like that as well. So I think that works really well. Numpad and ISO is grouped together. So we've seen this in quite a few different key sets quite recently where we've put them together. So yeah, no problems with having those two put together. Numpad users will bolster ISO users will bolster numpad users. Kind of makes sense to do it that way. And hey, if you've got a friend in the States who wants, or you've got a friend who wants a numpad and you don't want the ISO keys or whatever, vice versa, buy one, split it between you. Yeah, absolutely an option there.
Yep, absolutely. And to round things off, there is going to be a Spacebars kit. Fairly simple stuff there, but you are going to get a lot of your accent Spacebars as well there. And one thing that's worth pointing out, and he does say that in the post, but the renders show otherwise currently, is that the initial renders are actually supposed to be, the renders that are coming are supposed to be more accurate to the actual KLE render, which actually has kind of a gray sublegend effect, whereas on these renders, the sublegends are actually black. So it's actually worth pointing out that the sublegends are going to be even lighter than they are in these renders, which I think could be really cool, and that makes me really interested in seeing the newer renders with the lighter gray sublegends.
Yeah, and I mean, with DieSub, that's absolutely possible. You just have to have two die processes onto the keycap to make that possible.
Yeah.
If you were going to do this in GMK, you'd have to have a double shot single legend and then a pad printed sub legend. Pad printing from GMK is probably the best on the market, but in terms of pad printing, it's nowhere near as robust as DieSub over long-term use. So I think that PBT is more than definitely the right way to go with this set, to keep it as nice looking as it does in the renders, and certainly to have those multiple colors on the keycap. I mean, I think this will work really, really well, to be honest. This is one of the nicer sets with sub-legends I've seen.
This could potentially sell a lot of units, and I'm really curious to see if they wind up going with Hammerworks, because, like I said before, I don't think we've really seen anything, custom community from them before. So I think that if we can get kind of like that super high-end PBT kind of feel, I feel like that could work really, really, really well here. And I think this could sell very successfully.
Well, the latest rounds of CRP look really, really good. So hey, I'm all down for using new keycap manufacturers and doing new custom sets with new providers. I think it's absolutely something to try. Hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least you've tried something new, and there's nothing to be not learned from that. So definitely a good way of doing things.
Yeah, definitely. And Upos brings up a good point in the chat too. He's asking if Hammerworks can even do reverse DieSub, because maybe we haven't seen anything reverse DieSub from them yet. But that's a question I don't even know the answer to. Maybe they can. Maybe they can.
I don't know.
I'm assuming if this user is looking into using Hammerworks that they would do it. Otherwise, it'd be kind of pointless to look into them. But maybe we just don't have that info yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that this could be a very high potential set.
Yeah,
depending
absolutely.
on the price points and the manufacturers that they settle on, of course. I think a lot of people would be interested to see a Hammerworks set like this.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. They've not done anything in any of their previous sets been reverse DieSub. So if they're going to do something here that's reverse DieSub, it'd be really interesting to see. It might not be the best way to do it for the first time. It might not be the right set. I suspect that if I was doing it, I'd never done reverse DieSub. I'd definitely want to test it on something a little bit simpler first and get the process nailed down before I did something like this. But hey, if they're up to try it, then why not? Definitely something that should be looked at.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to be keeping my eye out on this one, because this one seems quite interesting. Next up, we have the interest check for GMK SoftServe Rev 2. The Rev 2 is kind of important here because a couple days before this post went up, he did have a SoftServe Rev 1, and I'll be quite honest, it didn't look that great, and a lot of people thought it looked exactly like Bento or very similar to Bento, and he was pretty much forced to change it henceforth. So this is the Rev 2, or the what is, I guess, supposed to be GMK SoftServe, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad about this because during the show last week, I think the designer posted an image of this into chat on the Discord, and I was doing something on Discord at the time. And I said, "Oh, is that bento? It looks quite good," and I feel like I maybe upset the guy a little bit. So if I did, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I was not paying attention. It was kind of a corner out of my eye. Discord's on my second monitor. I was streaming at the time. So if you watch and that was the case, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be overly negative about anything. It was just literally what it looked to me like at the time. So I am really sorry about that.
Yeah, Orange Josh says it's all your fault, Jay.
Yeah, it probably is. But hey, I felt really bad when Brian and I were talking about the show. I didn't realize that the kits had been changed from the original SoftServe, and I did post into chat last week something about it. So I didn't mean it negatively when I said it. I just said, "Oh, it looks like bento" or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then all of a sudden the key set's changed. So if I was an influencing factor behind that, I feel bad if I made someone feel bad.
Maybe you have a chance for redemption, Jay. How do you feel about this version of GMK SoftServe?
See, now this is going to make me feel even worse, Brian, because you put me on the spot. I don't like this. I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of this. Personally, do you know what it feels like? And I think someone's just said this in chat. It actually feels like a pastel version of Merlin, and I kind of don't like the yellow. I think the alpha keycaps are really good. I really like the alphas in terms of that blue on white. I think that works really, really well. I'm just not a fan of those yellow modifiers. What I do really like though is the pink modifiers. Again, I'd like to see them as kind of all laid out as a base kit. So I think the pink modifiers look a little bit nicer. But yeah, I'm not sure if the whole thing works for me personally.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. I think the colors work fine for me. But again, I care a lot less than most other people these days about the color of my GMK keycaps. I just care that I'm typing on GMK or whatever. So it's not necessarily for me, but I can see how some people would be definitely attracted to this. I saw someone said strawberry lemonade in chat. I feel like that's kind of apt as well.
That would be a better name for it. Yeah,
that
works really well.
I agree with that, especially because he has this alternative mods kit that he's calling these strawberry mods, and it's kind of a lighter, I don't know, pink affair, and I think those actually look not too bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I prefer those mods to the ones in the base kit, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, moving along here, there's a few more kits going on. We have a Novelties Kit, which looks fine. Do you know what this novelty is supposed to be? This bottom left one?
Is it like a?
It looks kind of like a sideways face or like a cat or something. I don't know.
I think it's supposed to be.
Is it a strawberry? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, a bite taken out of it. Okay. That makes sense, I suppose. So interesting. So I think the Novelties Kit is just fine. It doesn't wow me. It is what it is. There's a spacebar plus arrows kit, which is kind of interesting there. So it'll give you some accent spacebar or arrows, and of course some desk mats as well, which are just kind of a repeat pattern. They're not terribly interesting IMO, but I think the set is okay.
It's interesting you say that about the desk mats. Actually, that they're not terribly interesting. Sometimes the less interesting the desk mat, the better it works.
I didn't say it's a bad desk mat. I didn't say it was bad. I said it wasn't terribly interesting, because I don't think it is very interesting. But I think it's fine.
Okay.
Some people like those repeat pattern desk mats. I think it's kind of boring. But
yeah, I like those repeat
pattern desk mats. And you know what? Just because we have different opinions doesn't mean we can't still be friends.
Hey, stop using my words against me.
Never. You're my enemy, and I will use everything against you until the day that I die.
Yeah, anything you say will be used against you. Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you. Yeah. No, I like the desk mats. I think the desk mats work well. I think good colours. They'll work a lot well with other sets. They're kind of cute, kind of fun. Yeah. They're not going to look out of place anywhere, and they don't have to be big, bright, flashy to be nice enough to use. I do think the set looks better with the pink modifiers when we get into the renders. I think that they definitely prefer those to the yellow ones. It does feel just like a pastel inverse Merlin on the other versions, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some people really like that, I'm sure. Just for me personally, I prefer the pink modifiers, and I prefer if that was the base kit.
I fully agree with you. I think the pink modifiers do look much nicer, and I think the overall set benefits because of that. But hey, our opinions.
Yeah,
Let's,
we're not right or wrong.
Yes.
It's subjective.
Of course, we're always right. Like, let's be real
but
here.
we're right to ourselves, not right to the public and the population.
I'm kidding.
That's the whole point of something that's subjective.
I'm kidding. I'm yanking your chain, my friend. I'm feeling feisty today. All right. I don't know if you've noticed.
I can tell.
You
but
can tell?
It's gradually coming on during the show. You started off all right, and you're getting more and more feisty as we go through the show.
I'm trying a new approach, seeing how people feel about it, I guess. Anyways, yeah. So that is GMK SoftServe. It'd be kind of interesting to see the base kit approach change to the strawberry approach, and maybe have a name change as well. It's a little strawberry lemonade theme going on.
Strawberry lemonade.
Yeah, we have. I mean, it's
those modifiers. Yeah.
Yeah, we got what spring, summer on the horizon here. We can people enjoying some strawberry lemonade. Could be an apt time for it.
A nice picture of some strawberry lemonade in the garden with the sun shining and some ice floating in there, a little umbrella coming out of the glass, and then put this keys underneath it. Yeah, I think that worked really well. Get Max Surfy doing a nice render with that kind of thing in the background. It'll look great.
Yep, definitely. All right, so let's move on to our second to last topic, actually. And this is kind of an interesting one. So this is the Hub Keycap profile. That name might be familiar to some of you. This is, of course, by Evan, the Van Man of the Van Keyboards. Is he still technically in business, the Van Keyboards?
As far as I understand it, TKC bought Van Keyboards as an entity.
That's what I thought.
I don't know what Evan's remit is now as a business owner, if he's just a community member with an idea. I don't. Okay. I don't know how that works.
Well, the reason I ask is because this is something that he's obviously doing, and he's doing it through the vankeyboards.com. So I wasn't sure if this was a project that involved TKC or if this is just Evan on his own. Regardless, let's set that aside, and we can just talk about the actual topic at hand here, which is, of course, the Hub profile, which is a profile that has a little bit of history behind it. He did try to make this a reality, Hub as a profile, a reality, I believe, pretty much himself. A couple years back, and he was trying to raise a very what kind of seems like a high amount of money. If I think it was around $500,000 or something, to get all the tools and the molds and whatever that he needs to actually produce Hub as a profile. And he got a lot of backing, but he also got a lot of backlash because he I believe what happened was he started using colorways from other people. To kind of popularize the Hub profile and try to hype it up and tease it. And I don't think that went over particularly well. And he got quite a bit of backlash for that. And because of that, and I think other various factors, Hub just didn't happen. But a lot of people were really, really interested in Hub, to be fair. And, a lot of people still wanted it. So it looks like he's trying to bring some semblance of Hub profile to the market, even if it's just a one-time run, which is what this is looking like. He looks like he's trying to do 250 sets in white, 250 sets in black. That's it. No legends, blanks. Here's your compatibility. It does favor, it pretty much only covers 40% boards. And, not even all of them at that. But, the idea is that this is kind of a 40% special kind of thing, and if you're a 40% user, this could be totally for you. But I have actually typed on this profile. The caps were 3D printed, of course. This was years back at a Seattle meetup when he brought them to show people, and I actually thought it was an alright profile. It felt okay to type on, especially on those smaller boards. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see something like this. And I know Evan is kind of a controversial person in the community. A lot of people dislike him. Some people, like him, whatever. I feel like I should pick one of these up just for the sake to try it, if nothing else.
Yeah, a couple of interesting things here that he said. So he's actually paid for the prototyping molds, which are going to be different from production molds. So what he's done is he's paid for prototyping molds. He's now selling the 500-ish sets to try and recoup his costs and make sure that that's a thing. And I assume if that's successful, then he'll look at doing the actual production run, which would use different molds, but would enable him to move from ABS to PBT, which means that Dice Wing Legends would then become a thing and be available for him to do on the keycaps. As I said, I wasn't aware that Hub was coming back. I thought that after the Kickstarter had failed, we'd kind of seen the last of Hub, and then it wouldn't move towards any production. And then especially after Evang sold van keyboards in whatever format he did to TKC. I didn't expect to see anything pop back up on his site, so it's interesting that that's happened. I wasn't aware of it coming, and it kind of bit of a blindsiding type thing. But hey, new profiles are always good. If this is the only run of Hub, then so be it. To be fair, if he stepped on other people's toes and he's used colorways for advertising and things like that in the past, he's just doing blanks now. So we'll see how successful this is or isn't going forwards.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but you can pre-order it right there at his site. I believe the price is actually $75, so it's not even a super I mean, it's not cheap per se, but it's not a terribly expensive set either. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pick one of these up just to give it a try and see if Hub can succeed or not.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how it goes. Yeah, it looks like he's got pictures of the actual ABS keycaps here, so it seems like the prototyping molds at the very least are producing usable keycaps, which is always a good step in the right direction. We'll see how it goes.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and the last topic on our news doc today, which we're not going to cover in full right now because you'll be hearing more about this in the very near future. However, Visionaire has put up a little bit of an event announcement here. The event is called Clacker's Care, and this is kind of a fundraising event, or not a fundraising event. It's a charity kind of event, I guess you should say, for direct relief here for the coronavirus outbreak and stuff. And yeah, Top Clack is going to be a part of this. So this is actually going to be working in a couple different ways. He's going to do a silent auction here, which I don't believe we're actually a part of. But what we are going to be a part of here is this next part here, which is a marathon stream where he's kind of getting a bunch of the community streamers together that will be doing back-to-back-to-back handoff streams effectively to create one long chain of streams throughout an entire period, which I think is either 24 or 48 hours. I don't know if that's actually been finalized yet, but it looks like the marathon stream date has been finalized. So 16th to 17th. And that's going to be pretty awesome as well. So we're going to be part of that, and we'll have a lot more information about this coming soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited for this. And Visionaire, I think you're watching. Really sorry if I haven't been particularly active in your little chat about this. Well, it's not a little chat anyway; it's a massive chat. But I am really, really excited, as Brian said. Both of us are really excited to be part of this and to try and help out where we can and to do what we can. I probably have some stuff that I want to donate in terms of giveaways and stuff like that as well, so I'll be reaching out to you to discuss that as well. But we definitely want to be in on this because it's such a good idea. It's such a good idea.
Yeah.
And the more we can do for the community, the better.
Yep, it's going to be pretty awesome. We even have all the little logos here. We have little Clacker's Care logos. Courtesy of, I believe Sour designed those, so shout out to Sour. I don't know if he's watching, but very kind of him for donating his time for that, so that was cool. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So yeah, we'll have a lot more information on this coming very soon, but that's going to be happening obviously May 16th and 17th. And we hope you come out and join us and watch us and all the other streamers, because we're going to be trying to raise some money for a good cause. And be doing some giveaways as well, so...
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some fun things on those streams as well. Whenever we pick up the mantle and it's our turn to try and entertain the community, we'll be doing some fun things there too. So definitely come and check it out. Definitely support it. And yeah, come and watch, because I think loads of people involved, Mechs on Deck and loads of content creators. I can't list everyone because there's
a lot of them. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people involved in this potentially. So. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're kind of in the process of getting everyone interested, and then we're going to kind of coordinate schedules around that and figure out what we're doing from there. So it's still kind of in a planning phase a little bit, but we're almost done there, and it's going to be pretty awesome once we do.
Yeah, and Visionaire, please do call out if you feel like myself and Brian are not doing enough to support you. Tell us, because I'm conscious that I haven't been available as much as I should have been. So please do tell me if you need me to do anything. I will more than happily prioritize this, because I think it's such a good thing, and I'm conscious that I've probably not given it as much attention and much time as I should have done. I feel really bad about that. So let me know how we can support, because I really want to see this do well.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to this, and you guys should be as well. But like I said before, we'll talk about this a lot more in the coming days once everything is kind of ironed out and finalized, and we have the full schedule and we kind of know everything that's going on. It's going to be a really, really cool time. So look forward to that, guys. And with that said, that actually wraps up our news doc. So we're going to move over to our Q&A section like we always do. We're going to talk about our sponsors a little bit first, though, because they are lovely and help us do the things that we do. But if you have questions, make sure you can get those in right now. In fact, you can use the @TopClack tag. That helps us see the questions in chat a lot easier. If you don't use that tag, we might not get to your question. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Yeah, and it's well worth bearing in mind that Boren's been very grumpy at the moment and getting feisty as we go through the show. I do think this is because we haven't heard Tasty enough, and he needs to hear the things that are doing Tasty a little bit more. So if you guys could help me out on that, it might cheer him up a little bit.
I don't know. I'm just in a weird mood today, and I do apologize, guys. I'm kind of being snarky, and I'm kind of an asshole today, and I am aware of it, and I do apologize. It's not my usual facade, but it's. I don't know. I'm in a weird mood today, but all I can do is apologize for it. With that said, let's talk about our sponsors before we roll into our Q&A segment, shall we? First and foremost here, we have the wonderful one and only Novelties. Mike and crew are always doing fantastic work over there as usual, and they have numerous amazing things on their storefront today, which is great to see. So you can still pick up the 7V, which is a super hyped keyboard that is probably going to be pretty darn fantastic. These have been selling like hotcakes from what it seems like, and a lot of people really, really looking forward to those. So I think those are going quite well, and you should definitely consider if picking one up if you're in the market for a 75%. That is super, super high end. If you're not looking in the super, super high end, or maybe you don't have an insane amount of money to spend, you can purchase the Decent 65, which is a very well-spec'd 65% keyboard for the price. And you guys can't see this on stream, but in quite a few varieties of colors. So if you're in the market for a 65, that could totally be for you. If you're into GMK keycaps, Bushido is still running here until the end of the month, I believe. So I think tomorrow is actually the last day. Yeah, so if you guys haven't gotten in on GMK Bushido and you want to, now is pretty much your last time to do it. So make sure you check that as well. And of course, he's kind of a one-stop shop, so he's got a lot of other things going on as well. If you want some keycaps or some desk mats or switches in particular, maybe you want some plushies, he's got you covered. Maybe you like Gatoron because it's just freaking adorable. Like, come on, who doesn't want a Gatoron? Just fantastic. And if you're buying anything there in stock, make sure you use the promo code Clack. That's one word, all lowercase, and that'll get you 5% off your entire order.
Yeah, in-stock items only, though, guys, not group buy items. Just remember that. Okay, moving on to our second sponsor of the day. It is Kono.store. So Kono have got a number of things going on at the minute. If you are looking for any of the key sets that they've run in the past few months that you may have missed out on, whether it's GMK Hero, GMK Copper, Cat Oasis, or any of the other key sets, you can still join via a pre-order. That gives you some preferential pricing prior to the extras pricing, and you'll get it when the group buy ships as well. So it's a way to join the group buy without actually hitting the group buy window now that these sets have made MOQ. If failing that, if you want to take a look at some of the switches that they have on offer, they do have the Kale Pro and Speed switches back available as well. So take a look at those. And if keyboards are more what you're interested in, if you need something to work from home because you're working from home now, or a friend wants a nice keyboard to work from home, you might want to consider the Hex Gears Gemini, X1, and Venture keyboards because they're now in stock, shipping ASAP, and they have super low profile switches and keyboard case as well. And they're wireless too, so no wires on your desk. They might be just what somebody needs. Just bear in mind, guys, that they are in the process of moving warehousing at the moment, so there may be some slight delays on shipping, but they are doing it the best they can to get orders out as quickly as possible. And in other news, which because it'd be remiss of us to not talk about it, Kono has put an announcement out about the whole Shoko situation. So between Ray and Shoko, Ray and Kono, Shoko has now been sorted, if I get my words out in the right order. And that's all come to a nice resolution, and you can read about that up on Geekag if you go and search the thread as well.
Yeah, definitely. They have put out a public apology, and it seems to be going over fairly well because of it. So glad to see them working through things and working things out. And I'm looking forward to the inevitable relaunch of Shoko's second style the way it should be. So cool on that. Next up, we have the wonderful KBDfans who have numerous things going on as usual. coming up very, very soon, we do have the Run 2 of Enjoy PBT Kuroshiro, which is a very, very popular set that went over very well the last time, of course, designed by Gawk. Very, very nice stuff there. They also have this new cat set in stock here, DP0385. I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of the Legends, but it is a in-stock cat set. So if you've been looking into trying out cat profile, you can do so here for under $100 there. Not too shabby, and hey, maybe even like that particular set. So they have lots of other things in stock as well, so whether you want keycaps or switches or, you know, any kind of parts, they probably have you covered because they have pretty much just about anything that you can think of. And, you know, if you're into used stuff, you should make sure to check out their B stock market as well, which should be somewhere on here. They often have quite a few cool things on their B stock market if you're looking to save a few dollars and, you know, get something a little bit more budget friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just bear in mind as well that they do have a shipping break at the moment until the 5th of May. So FedEx and DHL are on holiday in China at the moment. So KBDfans for the next few days aren't shipping, but it will resume very quickly after that as well.
Yes.
Okay, jumping over to our next vendor, it is the Key Company. The Key Company has a few things going on. Candy Bar Premium Round 2 is in its final days. It does finish on the 1st of May as well. So if you want a Candy Bar Round 2, and this has now had to be split into 2 rounds. Round 2 is now 2.0 and 2.1 because they hit the 500 limit on how many they were able to produce in the timescales promised. You can still join the group buy, though. It'll just ship 4 to 6 weeks after the original part of the group buy. So the group buy is effectively just going to be split into 2 shipment dates. I think it was the 23rd of May was the cutoff date. Sorry, of April was the cutoff date. So if you bought before the 23rd of April, you'll be in shipping block 1. If you bought after that, you'll be in shipping block 2. But the boards are still available for another day, so do take a look at that if you're interested. GMK Black Lotus is still running as well and finishes on May the 8th. It has met MOQ for the base kit now, so if you are wanting to join that, please do let that influence your decision, because a lot of people we understand were hanging back on joining this one because they weren't sure if it was going to hit MOQ. It has now hit MOQ, so you guys may feel free to join the base kit. And reminder as well that PBT Gran is about to end on May the 1st, so there's just a day left to join that one as well. And Infinity Pastel is doing really well and ends on the 8th of May too. So if you do want an Infinity set, a lot of compatibility for a great price, both of those sets are available for at least the next day for Gran, and Infinity Pastel is available until May the 8th too.
Yeah, these sets are actually selling a lot better than I thought they would be, to be honest with you.
The pastel ones are doing really well, yeah. Way better than anything was expected. The interesting thing about the sets as well is the MOQ is across all of the colours for the pastel sets as well. So as long as the MOQ of 100 is hit by any different variation, they will all get made. So you can join all of the other colours and be confident they'll get made.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. All right. Well, last and but not least, of course, we have the wonderful Mekanisk, who does not actually have the Clip at Preorder open available anymore, sadly. But you know, he does always, of course, have more things coming soon. Plates, I think, are kind of sold out right now as well. You can still pick up the sweet WT60D PCB, which I appreciate quite a bit. I've been using that a lot lately. And that's still in stock, of course. And he does still have those Duroc Ultramarine stabilizers coming very, very soon, as well as I actually just got a PM today from him saying that the Tinned might be coming sooner than we think.
Ooh, exciting.
So that could potentially be really awesome as well. So if you've been in the market for a really high-end at 60%, you've been maybe like me and you've been waiting on the Fiel Pro forever before it was renamed for the Tinned, maybe that's coming soon. Maybe, just maybe. And I'm excited to check it out. All right, guys, let's get over to some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I gotta scroll back in chat here, guys. Bear with me.
Where? I don't see a bear. Where's the bear?
I'm the bear. Come on, Jay.
You just said you've got a bear with you, though.
No, you are a bear with me. How about that?
All right, I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not.
I'll let Twitch chat sort that out. Don't worry about it. So, Coinstorm with our first question here. He's asking what our thoughts on GMK Deep Navy are. So that's a set that we covered on the show, I believe, when it went up in interest check weeks or months ago. Right?
Yeah, the group buy starts tomorrow on mykeyboard.eu. Well, it's actually today for me now, but we cover group buys when they're live rather than
It's situational. Depending on if something's like really limited and might sell out, we might cover it before the group buy goes live and just mention when it goes live. It's something that we kind of figure out later on. But yeah. There's not a whole lot more to say about that. We'll cover it
next show next week.
Yeah,
it'll be on the show next week.
Yeah, the group buy for it will be on the show next week. We've already talked about the interest check, but quick thoughts. I think it looks fine, if I recall. It's been a while since I've actually looked at it, but I like the navy. So
it's a nice looking set. Is my first instinct. I want to put it with GMK Pretty on Pink. So yeah.
Are those? You said those are shipping soon?
Pretty on Pink. I think Upas said it was supposed to ship the end of May or something. I don't know.
We're coming up.
Yeah, so about like a month away. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, there you go. Depleted Vespine saying, when it comes to the English national layout printed in your keyboards, US for Quakems, UK for J, what letters or symbols do you feel are missing that should be present in them? Wow.
I've got a few bugbears on this one. So, okay, so there's a couple of sides to this one. One, I like to have ISO coverage. I get that not every set's going to support my particular layout. That's fine. I've accepted that. However, if this was a perfect world and I could have everything that I wanted, I would always like to have Alt as Alt-GR on the right-hand side as of the spacebar. I just prefer the angry Alt. I think it looks better. It has so many functional uses in EU layouts or European layouts for ISO. It's where we get a lot of our function keys and umlauts and God knows what else across all the different languages that we use in a single layout. So I think that's definitely a must. One other thing that I really, really miss as well is on the 4 key, the $4 key. In the EU, we have a euro symbol there traditionally. I do miss that even when people put like full UK ISO support. It never includes that key anymore. There are some sets with it, but they're very limited. I'm trying to think what sets have got it. There are some out there that have it. I can't see any on my wall at the minute that do, but I know there are some. I have got some key sets with it. I can't see one right now, but there are some with it anyway. But yeah, I would put that on there.
I gotta be honest. I've never thought about this. I've never typed on the ANSI layout and been like, I need a cap that has this legend on it. So
do you have anything on a layer that you use quite often though? Any kind of features on a layer that you use?
Not really. I'm like really minimal in terms of like what I require for my like everyday typing, I guess, compared to a lot of others in the hobby. You know, I don't spend like a ton of time, you know, using it for like work related reasons. Like obviously we do like top Clack stuff and like, you know, some Google Drive stuff, like, you know, all this kind of like more basic stuff. But like I don't work with a keyboard like otherwise, so like I never really need anything. This is why I prefer 60% to 65% too. Like I never really need dedicated arrow keys. Having them on a layer is always good enough for me. So
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Different strokes for different folks, but I've never thought I've needed a legend or a symbol on a keyboard though, in particular.
Sure. I think a lot of people that work with me in my day job, they would absolutely love a copyright symbol somewhere on the keyboard that they could just press a key for, perhaps on the number or something like that, because it's really specific to their use case. But yeah, copyright and trademark logo. So there are Unicodes for those. You can get those symbols up through Unicode, and you can put them on a QMK macro or whatever else you want for a custom keyboard. But if you want to put them in natively with like a Dell keyboard from anywhere, and you have to either set up something like a hotlink in Windows to be able to do it, or you have to go into Microsoft Word or whatever word processor you're using, and then go to symbols and then find symbol and insert symbol and select it, and then you copy and paste it throughout your document. You know, so I think there will be symbols like that have specific use cases. There's probably a ton of others that I'm not even thinking of, but I suspect something like that. Just Google it and copy it to some people. Yeah, well, I mean that's the other solution.
That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, right. Hey.
Yeah. How many people in our community would like the TM symbol for like soon TM?
Soon.tm, yeah.
Soon TM. I think a lot of people would probably use that. I should put that on a macro pad. Dead Guy 1 is asking, I want to build my first PCB soldered, but I can't find any in stock anywhere. Where can I get one? Don't care style. I just want to build my first board. I'm in the US.
Doesn't Upas have some of the
Practice 60s?
Practice 60s, yeah, that might be a good step.
I'm actually a little. I'm curious here. Is he asking? he says he wants to build his first PCB. So does that mean he wants to do the soldered components himself on a PCB, or does he just wants to do his first build? And he can't.
I would assume just switches from what he said. I know the Practice 60. Yeah, it's sold out as a Practice 60, and so is the ANC 60. Just looking at Canon keys, I would have recommended those because they're both great opportunities to try that kind of stuff out. Practice 60 especially is a great board to learn how to solder on. It's really good to learn how to solder on.
Yeah, Upas says restocking soon, so that could be a good option as well. Yeah, Upas over at Canon Keys does sell quite a few kits, or at least he used to sell quite a few kits that are great for people learning how to solder. And they were quite inexpensive too. They were pretty friendly on the wallet, if I recall.
Yeah, they're not particularly expensive. You can add or not use a plate, depending on whether you want to use a plate or not. But it's great to practice soldering pretty much all of your components and everything else. Yeah, really, really, really good little kit to get you into the hobby and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, what I often suggest to new people is if you don't really have money to spend, or you just don't want to spend even like $30, $40, $60 on a practice PCB or kit, you can just ask around on like Mech Market or maybe some of the Mech Market channels throughout the various Discords or other places, and just try to ask for a dead PCB that you can just practice soldering and desoldering and to your heart's content, and you won't have to worry about ruining anything. So
yeah, or buy a board with vintage blacks on and desolder that and try around with that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many of us have random dead PCBs just sitting around that we would easily let go for the cost of shipping or less. So
I have a drawer full of just.
I have a couple as well, I think. So it's not uncommon in our community, I think, for enthusiasts to have spare PCBs just lying around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely something that you could ask around on, that I would suggest. Meeptastic, which is a great username by the way, is asking, why don't we see any custom sets for Topra? We got the Enjoy PBT 9009 Topra set, but nothing since, and with the number of GMK sets that run each month, you would think there would be enough demand for something like Topra Black on White. It's a very good point. I think we have seen other Topra sets similar to 9009, I think, on KBDfans. I don't know if they've ever done a Black on White, but I feel like they've done something similar. They have done...
do that.
They have done other custom caps besides 9009. I know that. I just don't know what colorways they've gone. But your point, the point still stands. We see very few, almost if any, custom Topra sets.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that they did the... Do you remember the Gentleman PBT set, which was like a black on black set? I'm pretty sure I've seen a Topra version of that. I could be completely wrong.
True.
I'm sure I've seen a Topra version of that.
Well, Topra has
there
stock...
Are some other...
the stock black Real Forces come with caps that are almost identical to that.
I don't think I mean the stock ones. I'm sure I saw it with the yellow keys as well. I could be completely wrong anyway. But yeah, there are some Topra sets, as you say, but you're right. There's not that many.
What I would, I'm not certain on. I'm definitely not certain on this. But what I would guess is that KBDfans is probably the only people that have put money into trying to figure out how to design like the Topra stem there, because I imagine that they didn't get the design from Topra. They had to copy it, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that involved too much time and money and mold costs, etc., whatever, and other people aren't looking to take that on, and it's kind of exclusive to KBDfans. I don't know, but it seems like the custom Topra stuff that we do see tends to come from KBDfans. So maybe they're more in the know about it than we are. I don't really have a good answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
All right. Clanky is asking, Switch shipments for Tangies, blueberries, inks, and others have sold quickly, even in large quantities. Is that actual demand, speculation, or do you think there are other factors driving sales? So a lot of Switches selling out very quick lately, even with the higher MOQs.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things behind this. I think one is the community is bigger than anyone realizes. For every one person you see speaking in Discord, on Twitch, on the Reddits, on wherever, there are 10 people who don't. The community is made up of people who are, I hate calling them lurkers because that sounds really negative, but people who are interested in the community but don't actively participate in terms of stepping up and shouting out and waving and all that kind of stuff. There's so many people out there that are involved that when we think about it, 50,000 switches isn't that much really to the community anymore.
No, it's not.
At one point, it was a huge number, but now, not so much. I think 50,000 switches is easy to go through.
You got to realize a lot of these people, a lot of the the enthusiasts that have the money to burn are not just buying like 70 or 110 switches. They're buying 400 or 500 switches. Some of them even up to like 1,000 switches.
Yeah.
So I mean,
like when I buy switches these days, I don't tend to buy 100. I tend to buy 400 because that's just how quickly I'll get through them. I think the only exception to that is H1 switches. I only bought 110 of those because Mike sent me 200, so I ended with 300. But usually I will buy multiples of hundreds of switches because of that. Because I get through them, just literally get through them.
Yeah, I think
there's lots of people like that.
The demand is there. I mean, there's been a lot of hype surrounding a lot of the new switches coming out. I mean, inks have been hyped for so long. A lot of people have been loving those. All the new JWK stuff, the new Tangis, all that stuff has gone over pretty well. People are pretty happy with the price to performance on those, and I think we've been seeing a lot of recolors because of that. And we saw JWK recently up their MOQ to what is it now? 50,000 now.
Yeah.
It used to be 10,000 not that long ago. It was only 10,000, and that's one of the reasons we saw so many people running those, because selling 10,000 switches is really not that hard. As long as the price is okay and people are okay with the colors. But
well, this is the thing. I mean, at one point in the community, 10,000 switches would have been a lot. Like when Zeal first started up, 10,000 switches was probably a huge number, and he was investing all of that time and effort into doing some of the earlier custom switches. But now, 10,000 switches. Genuinely, I probably buy 10,000 switches a year and get through them just on personal build streams, because if I'm using 100 switches a week, give or take, it's not too far away from hitting 100,000 switches a year that I purchase. It's probably somewhere in that kind of region.
Yep, definitely. But yeah,
10,000, not 100,000. 10,000.
Yeah, not 100,000.
Yeah,
but I think that the demand is there in one way or another. The demand is there because they're selling, and maybe it is time to start investing in higher amounts of switches for some of these vendors, because now that they see that they're selling so fast. And another thing that's happened because of this as well is because we're not getting that demand, we're seeing people actually flip switches, which is something that historically hasn't really happened, at least for like stock switches.
Yeah.
Obviously, people flipping like hybrid switches and stuff, like Holy Pandas. That was another point in time, though. But nowadays, when an MX switch comes out, like it's not like the H1 switches, for example, that we just got recently. Like these sold out super quick, and a lot of people are still looking for these. Some people are even charging like $2 a switch on the aftermarket for these, which is a lot more than what they went for. So
hey, I'll undercut them. I'll sell them for $1.20. So there you go.
Classic J.
Hey, I'm the least
I
flipper
know.
in the community.
Yeah, I know. But it's interesting, yeah, because like at the end of the day, these aren't that special. Like they're a JWK recolor, and they're nice. They're very good for what they are, and they're good for the price that they generally sell at. But on the aftermarket, it's not really a $2 switch, but that's kind of where we're headed right now, and flipping switches is starting to become more normal, and I don't know if we as a community want that. So maybe it's time to start investing a little bit more into some of these switches that we know are just gonna sell. Like an all-black opaque JWK switch? Come on. Like, who thought these weren't gonna sell?
Yeah, right.
Like, I want to know who thought these weren't gonna sell. Anyways. Sorry for that rant, guys. Hoshiyomi, I think is what this is asking, if I want a black on white set, should I grab bleached now, get Kuroshiro round 2 next month, or wait for minimal round 2? It's a great... Well, I mean, all those are different whites.
Very different.
Yeah, those
really
are all
different.
Those are pretty different sets. So I think you kind of have to decide on whether you either want GMK ABS or you want enjoy PBT. Settle on the material you want first, perhaps, and then
or sub-legends and no sub-legends. That's the other way of looking at it.
Yeah, the one cool thing about all three of these sets is they're all priced about the same. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they're all about $100 sets. So, Yeah, that makes it a little tough, but yeah, they're all fairly different sets. So I mean, what material you want, and whether you want sub legends or not, or whether you want a really bright white or not, or you want something a little less bright. Those are going to be the factors you want, because obviously minimal is not going to be as bright as something like bleached. Bleached is going to be very, very white, very bright. It's going to be off-putting to a lot of people too. It's going to be very polarizing. Whereas minimal is a little bit more friendly on the eyes. It's a lot more universally liked and enjoyed. So that could be minimal's probably the safe bet if I had to choose between the three sets, but I'm a little bit more out there. I kind of like the whiter white, so maybe I'd reach for bleach just because I've already owned minimal.
It depends on what you're going to put it with as well, because because people like different things to match with different things as well. So, for example, EY, I showed some pictures in the UK server the other day. I had all of the GMK sample keycaps. In fact, I think I've got them to one side just here actually. So I got my sample ring out of all the GMK keycaps, and I was showing WS1 versus WS2 against the E white finish of the exclusive E8.5. So it depends what you're going to put it with. If you're going to put it with a white board, let me see if I can do this live on stream. I think the other mic is here actually. Trying to do stuff live on stream. So here's the difference between WS1 and WS2. I'm not quite sure how well that's going to show, but there is a difference. So hold on a second. Let me see if I can get these on the camera so you can see the different colors. So WS1 is much more different to WS2 in terms of its color. I'm not sure how well that's showing.
Yeah, it's
probably not showing very well.
Not very well. We get the idea. We can kind of see there's a definite difference in tone there.
Yeah, so WS2 is definitely the white way. That's probably the better way of doing it.
Yeah.
Then when you compare it to something like CP, which is in Olivia, so you can see that this kind of CP colorway is a little bit more yellow. But then when you hold up the colors next to the E white, bleached, which is the WS2, is much closer matched to the E white finish that's standard across the community than either CP or WS1. So it kind of really depends on what you want to do. There's so many different variations of this, and it's quite subtle, but it can make a big difference to the final outcome.
Yeah, I wouldn't say any of those sets is like a bad choice. Honestly, it's
a bad choice.
Yeah, it's just going to be what you are actually in the market for, whether you want sub legends or not, whether you want ABS or PBT, whether you want text mods or icon mods, etc. Like, there's just too much variety between those three sets.
Yeah, and of course there was Hennessy as well, which was similar to Minimal.
I think that's over now.
Slightly different. I think it finished a day or so ago. Yeah,
I think so. It might still be open like today, but I think it's closing if it's not already closed already.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, Hennessy, if that's still open on drop, that could potentially be an option for you as well. Orange Josh is asking, if monies is a factor, i.e. can't get everything you want, what would you get? Profit or K? Profit is on the last day of group buy. K is not up yet. What do you think? Well, I did make that decision, and I went with the profit, so...
Yeah, I'm not...
That's where I went.
I'm not buying either, but that's because I already have a profit. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. This profit's a really good board, and it's really interesting. The K is going to do well as well. So I think it just depends on what you prefer. There's no wrong answer to that question. Either board will be great.
The K looks really
nice.
nice.
Profit. Yeah.
Yeah, the profit. Okay. I think the K looks really nice, but I think the K is also supposed to be like $425-ish, which is about $100 more than the profit, which was about $325 for a starting base kit. And to me, I prefer to save the money, so I went with the profit. The profit also had more interesting plate materials, if I remember correctly. Obviously, with the nylon, the polypropylene, those interest me. New experiences interest me more than things like colors or flashy designs that have nothing to do with functionality and stuff like that. Nothing against the K, obviously, because the K does look great, and I'm sure it's going to be a great board. But the profit just seems a little bit more interesting to me, on top of being potentially a better value, being $100 cheaper.
Sure. Yeah, I think my money would go on the profit as well. If I didn't have either of them and I was going to pick from now, I would probably go for the profit again as well.
Fair enough. All right, 10 Strong asking, lighter spring on a more flexy plate. So do you like your switches lighter on flexy plates? I guess that's more of a question for me since I like flexy plates.
Yeah, you're more of a flexy guy than I am. I prefer heavier springs either way, to be honest. So
I think I do like lighter springs on more flexy plates, because if you have really heavy switches, really heavy springs rather, on a heavy plate, I feel like sometimes you get too much flex and it feels a little awkward, and you kind of get a little bit of a reverberation on the upstroke. But that's a pretty specific example. I would say for me, I don't really care that much, but I probably instinctually lean towards the lighter stuff. I've been using the IDV60, which is obviously a fairly flexy board, and even with, I think these are 62-gram springs in these, you still get a little bit of the reverberation on the upstroke just because there is so much flex. And I feel like with heavier springs, rather, you have to type harder, which then in turn gives you more flex and gives more of the bounce back on the upstroke as well. So I prefer, while I like flexy experiences, I don't like that reverberation feel on the upstroke. So I like the lighter switches on that as well. Alright. Pho Master, great username by the way, is asking...
yeah. Oh, it makes me hungry.
That sounds so good right now, man.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. and it's like, yeah, if only I could go out for some pho.
Pho is like one of those things that you can just eat like anytime and it just makes you happy.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world as well. You can always find it. It's great.
Yep. Alright, anyway, sorry. Back to his question. He's asking, is it worth it to make ergo clears in 2020? Any cheaper tactile alternatives to the Zelios or Holy Pandas? A great question, actually. Well, ergo clear... I think ergo clear is a very like classic MX style of tactility, and it's very different from a lot of the more larger, rounder, bumped modern tactile switches. So I feel like a lot of people still very much like and respect that kind of more traditional MX feel, and that's totally fine and totally a valid opinion. I prefer most of the more modern or newer stuff, like the Zelios and the Holy Pandas. I like the bigger, rounder bumps. I like it more parabolic than more standard tactile, I guess you might say. But there's certainly still a place for ergo clears, right? That's like part of our lineage as a community. That's part of our history. It's very important.
Maybe.
And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And I think if you like ergo clears, you should absolutely use them. As far as cheaper tactile alternatives, though, what is there
T1.
Right now? T1. Yeah, T1.
Other clones, yeah.
Yeah, T1s and all the recolors, which there have been quite a few. Blueberry, I guess you could certainly argue that the blueberries could be an alternative or a competitor to an ergo clear. You could argue that. I'm not going to. But someone could.
Yeah. I until I get blueberries a full board's worth, which Mikey's sending us this week, I'm not sure I'd want to comment on how I like or dislike them, because just on their own I'm not a big fan, but I think in a board I might actually quite like them as a tactile switch. If I was going to pick up a switch today and I wanted tactile, I think if I was going to go for the cream of the crop, it would be a Zelio V2. It's still probably the best tactile switch on the market. If I would just wanted a cheap tactile, I would probably pick one of the T1 type switches up, of which there are multiple clones now. So
yeah,
there's a few of those out there.
There's the Lilacs that have already shipped.
Yeah.
There's the Kiwi, which is upcoming from the Key Company. There have been multiple recolors of T1s, but T1s are kind of that base tactile JWK switch that usually costs around 55 cents a switch. And you can find it in various colorways, which is kind of nice as well. And it's kind of like, I like to describe them as like a diet Zelio, or like a Zelio Light, because they feel like a slightly less tactile and slightly less refined version of a Zelio.
90% of the way there. It's like 90% of the way to a Zelio.
I'd argue 80% at most, but that's maybe that's just my opinion.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, they are a fine switch at a reasonable price, and you're going to be able to find them in various colorways to match, what you're trying to do. So
yeah, absolutely. That being said, I haven't tried an ergo clear in so long that maybe I need to do a build with some ergo clears at some point soon. Because you're right, Brian. We shouldn't lose those kind of heritage switches that kind of made the community what it is today and gave people a love for tactiles. It was probably one of the earliest tactile switches I ever tried was an ergo clear. Other than the standard Cherry MX Brown, but
yeah. The ergo clear it's a very important part. It sounds silly, it really does, I get it, but like it really is a very important part of our history, because like that was the Zelio before the Zelio. It was before the Cherry MX patent was up in 2014. So for the MX format, cherry was all you had. So your MX tactile choices were clears and browns. And then I guess tactile grays, which were just clears but recolored in different spring. But, those were your choices. And they all had roughly the same kind of style of tactility. It was just more of the spring that was different. And it was a very, very traditional form of tactility. And, not what we really think of these days with a lot of the other Switches that have come out since then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. All right. Sorry, scrolling.
I can't see any of the questions. Chat scrolled too far for me to be able to find out where we're up to, I'm afraid. So I'm going to have to rely on you, Brian, to find the next question.
It's all good. Sometimes that just happens. Shout out to Talisman Solutions, who did gift several subs, I believe, but I'm seeing this most recent one with Epsilon, and that is his 256th gift sub of the community. So thank you so much, Talisman.
Wow,
always
huge.
A pleasure, man. WinCan008 with our next question, it looks like, saying, how are tactiles on Flexi build? Everyone seems to build Flexi with linears.
Yeah. So the issue with tactiles on a Flexi build is because the typing surface is moving up and down as you're typing. Sometimes where the bump is on the tactile switches, it kind of changes the feel of the switch. Whereas with a linear, you just get a really nice soft bottom out, and then you feel the flexibility in the return and that kind of thing. I tend to find that the more flexy the build, the more it favors the linear. And if you want to experience the true tactility of a switch, you need a firmer plate.
Yeah,
that's just my personal feel, though.
I totally agree, and I think this actually harkens back to what I was talking about just a few minutes ago. When you apply extra weight or extra force to a switch or spring or whatever, and to the keyboard, you have to apply more force to press it. So, taking a T1 for example, I guess, or whatever switch Zelia or whatever, even if you have a 67 gram spring per se, it often takes more actual force than 67 grams to overcome the tactility in the switch. So when you actually are typing on the Switch, you have to apply more pressure on tactile switches just so you can overcome the bump. And because of that force gets transferred down to the plate PCB assembly, or however you have it set up. And that's where the force goes. And when you have a really flexy build, you get the extra force that impacts the plate or PCB and gives you a much more intense bounce back, which I don't like. It's actually my least favorite part of flexi typing builds, but yeah, so because of that, I would say that tactiles probably don't perform quite as well overall on flexi builds. But with that said, of course you could still do it, and maybe you'll like it. Who knows? All I can say is what has been my experience.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We're just talking from our own experiences here. But I think I've gone from very much being a tactile person to being a linear person over the past couple of years. And I think if I was going to build tactiles, I would still try and go back to a firmer typing feel. So probably something top mount-ish rather than something flexy type ish. But then again, there's no right or wrong answers. If you like it, you like it, man. And that is absolutely perfect. Yeah, you do what works for you. So yeah, try it out. If you don't like it, change the switches.
Yep, most definitely. All right, Brez, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub, my friend. Corpse Grinder. This was another great username that we've been seeing recently.
Corpse Grinder, yeah.
is asking, I have an E-Yellow Polaris on the way, but it looks like the color is darker than the Protos, close to E-Yellow Tofu, I guess. I have MT3 Serica, but I'm worried that might look off. Any recommendations for key sets for a dark E-Yellow keyboard?
Yes, I know the E-Yellow you're talking about. It's the same E-Yellow that was on the KN 2.10, and it's been on a few other boards as well. It is more orangish than yellow. It does have a slightly orangish tint to it, so it's a little bit darker, as you say. In terms of key sets that would go well with it, if you like DSA, Alchemy would go pretty well with it. Alchemy looks great with that kind of colorway because it's got the classic greys, beiges, and it has a kind of similar orange kind of accent key. So if you like DSA, you could look at that. If you want to look at GMK, I would recommend something like an OG key set. They always look good with everything. You can't really go wrong with that type of thing. So look at something like 9009 or get some OG double shots or something like that. I think that would work really, really well. It definitely would match quite nicely.
I didn't actually really remember that particular color, but I'm looking at it now, and that is a really dark yellow.
Yeah.
I found a picture with some GMK white on black, and it looks pretty nice. I don't know. I'm kind of a believer on if you have a board that has like really bright, vivid, or flashy colors. I like the more neutral sets with those, and I like the flashier sets on the more neutral boards. So that way, it's never like too flashy. But yeah, that's kind of just how I do it, at least.
Yeah, but anything would be safe, like black on white, white on black, OG colorways, something that kind of harkens back to that. I think my pick for it would be some OG die subs or double shots personally.
Someone in chat said Honderbite.
Hey, I've got a Honderbite on the wall just back here. It looks great on EY. Maybe not on
E-Yellow. You know, honestly, I bet Honderbite would look okay on E-Yellow. I bet it wouldn't look any worse on E-Yellow than any other color.
It's just there. You guys can see that. It is there on a board. Sorry, Upas, I apologize.
It looks so awful at a distance.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I'm not a fan of the set. I know some people are, and that's cool, but definitely not for me. All right, T-Zark is asking, was there some canonical list of open GBs somewhere?
There is for key sets. You can do keycaplender.com. That works for key sets. It'll give you a list of all of the key sets that are in group by today, and a list of all of the ones that are in interest check and the dates that they're going to run, as well as vendors and everything else where they're tied to it. So, key sets, yes.
That's Eskimojo's, right? Keycaplender. Okay, yeah. So that's a good one. I have looked at that. I like that one a lot. I think there are other projects that other people are working on that are kind of similar as well, that I think might work just as well. As far as keyboards or like group buys, though, I haven't really seen as much of that. I feel like that's a tough project.
Just watch Top Clack for the keyboards then.
Yeah, well, I mean, true, but these days we don't actually cover everything anymore because we can't cover everything these days. It's just like it's not really possible. So I feel like I don't know. But yeah, watch Top Clack obviously because we'll try to cover like the best stuff. But that could be hit or miss as well, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, maybe you could do it. Maybe you could do it, T-Zark. All it needs is someone to head the project. I feel like that's kind of how most of these things start.
Absolutely, yeah, that's literally what it needs. Yeah, just someone to push it forward.
I would bet if you advertise, there would be other people willing to help you and assist you in pretty much however you want to do this as well. Community tends to be pretty friendly and helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jace the Poof Scooper is asking, do you use AliExpress for keyboard stuff? Durock Store? I've never used the Durock Store. No.
I did for a long time until I started dipping my toes into the vendor spot with prototypists. Yeah, I used to use AliExpress all the time. Now I just go to the manufacturers directly. It's a little bit easier. But AliExpress for a lot of things. I used to get stabilizers, switches, whatever I needed, artisan boxes and all sorts of different stuff from there as well. I've realised I've tilted my camera too far the other way now. I used to get all sorts of that kind of stuff from there. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I've used AliExpress numerous times, but it's been a little while. I have not ordered from the Durock Store, but I don't
just use no Superbuy or something like that as well, and it proxies stuff really easy for you. You can do things as a group and run mini group buys and stuff. Yeah, it works really well. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, scrolling through. Actually, we are caught up on questions. Fantastic. Nice.
Awesome.
And we only went like 20 minutes over time. It's not too bad. Could be worse.
Nice. Yeah, it could be a lot worse. Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's going to round out our show for the day. Of course, a couple upcoming streams. We do have numerous streams in the works. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific, I have an episode of Behind the Keyboard. It's going to be a pretty awesome one, hopefully. I'm really excited for this one. So hopefully you guys are as well. As far as build streams, I do have a few build streams coming up, but I'm not going to put an exact day on any of them because I'm still waiting on some things. So
sure.
That's that. How about you, Jay?
I have a build stream coming on Sunday. It's going to be my ANSI rebuild. So I did have to buy a new screwdriver because I lost the one that came with the board. But yeah, I'll be rebuilding my ANSI on Sunday. So watch out for that. I'm finishing off the Lego. I think I'll finally, after 10 hours, I will finally finish off the Batmobile this week, I think. Oh. So if anyone's been watching that and been interested in it, the next 2 hours will be hours 9 and 10, which will happen straight after the build stream. And it should be finished, but it's absolutely massive. Have you seen this part?
I've scanned through your streams on that you're doing it just so I try to keep up a little bit. It's pretty
Look at the size of
intense.
this thing. It's just massive. It's just absolutely huge. But there's just the rear section left to go now, so it's just it's crazy. So hopefully that should be finished on stream on Sunday, which would be exciting.
Very
and
nice.
then I've got to find somewhere to display it, which I'm going to try and convince the wife that it needs to go in the glass containment part of the the coffee table in the living room.
It surely does. It surely has to. It has to.
That's kind of where I want to get to, and then after that it's Millennium Falcon time because I've got the Ultimate Edition.
Is that what?
Falcon sat in a box as well.
Is that going to be a lot larger?
So that's like 6,000 pieces. This one's 3,000 pieces. So the Millennium Falcon is about twice the length and twice the width. It's about it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like a meter long. Is the Millennium Falcon? It's massive.
I mean, it's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs or whatever. So
not sure, right?
Surprising. Yeah. Well, thank you guys all so much for hanging out with us. Bearded Nut Inc. with 100 bits there says great stream. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. We'll make sure to turn up the voice samples or whatever for the subs and the bit donations, since it seems like you guys have been having trouble hearing it. I hear them quite well. So
yeah. We'll definitely Brian with them. I'll tweak them after the show and make them a little bit louder, guys. And we will have some more different sound options as well. I'll try and randomize them through a few different ones or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and also, of course, just like we've been doing this whole time on all of our build streams and Jay's Lego streams and stuff like that, we've been giving away game codes just to kind of encourage people to stay home and stay isolated and just have a good time and play some video games. So we've been giving out lots of game codes that have been very generously donated by so many of you. So thank you so much to all of you out there. And if you're looking to win some games, make sure you come check out some of our build streams and stuff, because you could you could have a much better chance of winning one than you might think. And we've given away quite a few nice ones. We gave away like 3 Doom Eternal codes, which was pretty epic.
Yeah,
so.
which is pretty big, right?
It was like right after it came out too. So I mean that's pretty hype, I would say.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, anyways, of course, one last time, tomorrow, Behind the Keyboard at 5 p.m. Pacific. Of course, I'll put an announcement in the Discord beforehand, of course. And thank you all so much for watching. And make sure to look below the stream. You can join our official Discord and come hang out with us there. You can maybe join our YouTube channel as well. You can catch all the VODs that happen 24 hours after the fact, of course, sticking to Twitch's terms of service there. But to everyone else, have a good rest of your day or night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah, see you soon, guys. Take care.